Chapter 369. Wrong? How so? Fang Yu asked. The main function of this type of pill is to stimulate the remaining potential of each stage. Just like a martial spirit leveling up, in fact, at each stage, you can't completely stimulate the potential in your body. This type of pill is to help you stimulate the remaining potential in your body. Of course, your level won't necessarily increase, but your combat strength will obviously increase. This is very important. I was too naive back then. I wanted to promote this pill to the entire Azure Dragon Institute and even the whole world. That's why this tragedy happened. Potion Maniac was lost in his memories and sighed. Fang Yu pursed his lips and said nothing. There was no such thing as empathy in this world. He didn't know what Potion Maniac had experienced back then and what tragedy he had caused. Therefore, Fang Yu wouldn't casually persuade Potion Maniac to let go of the past and look forward to the future. Alright, let's cut to the chase. This Blackwater mystical snake keeps chasing us. We can't do that. Potion Maniac seemed to have suddenly woken up and returned to the topic. Yeah. I have a martial art that can accelerate instantly. I think we can get rid of the Blackwater mystical snake, Fang Yu said. He didn't want to reveal too much about himself. However, at this point, they were bound together for good or ill. Fang Yu couldn't stay out of this either. No. Potion Maniac shook his head and said, The Blackwater mystical snake is a native of this place. I know its situation too well. It's too easy for it to find you and catch you. It usually stays close to you to protect the king of the blue hurricane lilies. Now that we've taken it away, it'll definitely chase after us. By then, we'll be refining pills and won't be able to deal with it. It'll be even more dangerous. Fang Yu's face darkened. What Potion Maniac said made sense. That was the temperament of snake-type monsters. If they really messed with it, they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. Therefore, since they had offended the Blackwater mystical snake to this extent, perhaps the only way out was to kill it. However, even if we want to kill it, we have to think about it carefully, Potion Maniac said seriously. Then, he shared a few ideas. Although he was not born and raised in the Wailing Grotto, he had been going back and forth between the Wailing Grotto and the alchemy room recently. Today, in order to make it easier to handle the next improvement, he had moved many of his things over. After all, although Potion Maniac had been exiled in the Azure Dragon Mirror for many years, he still remembered that it was the second round of the examination. If he were to stay outside and encounter some examinees, it would be troublesome. Little did he know that someone had discovered his track. Fortunately, he had picked up Fang Yu as a helper, so it wasn't a loss. Now, the few plans that he came up with were all adjusted according to their respective situations and were seriously designed. When Fang Yu learned about Potion Maniac's plans, he was stunned. Alchemy Maniac really dared to dream. No wonder he called himself a madman. He really was a madman. What? If I can kill you, I can kill Blackwater mystical snake, Potion Maniac said seriously. Good, good, good. You're right. Fang Yu didn't argue with him too much. He said, Then, about the bait in your plan, of course it's you. Potion Maniac said righteously, If you don't go, do you think it's me? Me? Fang Yu opened his mouth and wanted to refute. Potion Maniac continued, No need to say more. It's settled then. If I go instead of you, of course it'll be safer. But have you ever thought about whether you can drug the Blackwater mystical snake? Are you sure you'll be able to kill it? If we can't kill Blackwater mystical snake, we'll have to fight in close quarters. Do you think it's better to be the bait or to fight in close quarters? And it's very fast. You've seen my moves before. Did anything unusual happen before your friends were drugged? Potion Maniac spoke with such conviction that Fang Yu was speechless. I can't outtalk you. I've lost. Fang Yu sighed. Isn't it normal that you can't outtalk me? I may be a shut-in, but I was in Azure Dragon College. Forget it. Potion Maniac sighed. He couldn't bear to look back on the past. Fang Yu was truly speechless. He dared to say that if he had a choice, he would definitely kill these guys who didn't finish their sentences. Potion Maniac wasn't a first offender. He was definitely a habitual offender. Fine. Stop trying to fool me, I'll agree to your request. Fang Yu was speechless. Potion Maniac probably used him as bait when he was planning this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come at the right time. This guy was deliberately tricking him. Alright, wait for my instructions later. Potion Maniac was very happy. He was very confident in his drugs, but there was a prerequisite. He needed time to prepare. He had prepared a lot before he went to deal with Fang Yu and the others. Now that he had Fang Yu's cooperation, he was like a fish in water. Rustle, the Blackwater mystical snake moved very quickly in the Wailing Grotto. Wherever it went, all living things would automatically avoid it. Everyone in the Wailing Grotto knew that the Blackwater mystical snake was a malefic star. Now that the malefic star had appeared out of nowhere, who knew what was going to happen? Therefore, it was better to avoid it as soon as possible, lest they get into trouble. The Blackwater mystical snake was anxious and angry. It was very anxious about the king of the blue hurricane lilies. If it were to lose it, the Blackwater mystical snake's path of cultivation would undoubtedly become very difficult. Cutting off one's path to wealth was like killing one's parents. Not to mention cutting off one's path of cultivation. They were forcing the Blackwater mystical snake to fight with their lives. Hiss! Hiss! Suddenly, the Blackwater mystical snake realized that Fang Yu and the others had stopped running. It stopped, flicked its forked tongue and looked around coldly. It felt that something was wrong with this place. These two people must be here. They must be hiding. Why are they hiding? However, the Blackwater mystical snake was not worried about not being able to find Fang Yu and the others. This was because snakes had a special ability. They could sense the changes in heat. As long as they were alive, they would definitely have body heat. In that case, wouldn't it be easy to find Fang Yu and the others? However, the Blackwater mystical snake would not use this ability often. This ability of his allowed him to sense very minute things. There were not many big living things in the Wailing Grotto, but there were many small living things. If it used this ability all the time, it would be annoyed to death. However, in order to find the guy who had stolen the king of the blue hurricane lilies, it had to use this ability. However, before it could use this ability, Fang Yu appeared. Chapter 370. Hey, little worm, are you looking for me? Fang Yu asked with a smile. Hiss, the Blackwater mystical snake, was enraged by Fang Yu's appearance. This was because Fang Yu was playing with a bottle. A storage bottle. A special bottle used to store spiritual flowers and spiritual herbs. The king of the blue hurricane lilies was inside. Give it back. The Blackwater mystical snake was on the verge of going berserk. Fang Yu was playing with fire. Whoosh! The Blackwater mystical snake, which had been ready to attack, shot out like a cannonball. Fang Yu narrowed his eyes and retreated quickly. One advanced, the other retreated, chasing after the other. Fang Yu used the soaring dragon technique to fight the Blackwater mystical snake. The Blackwater mystical snake could tell that Fang Yu was deliberately stalling, but it was much calmer this time. The king of the blue hurricane lilies was here. As long as this human was taken care of, it would return to it. Hiss! Fang Yu's skin was sizzling. As he fought, he occasionally released lightning bolt. The Blackwater mystical snake did not dodge. It took Fang Yu head-on. Mystical beasts were intelligent. Powerful mystical beasts were no weaker than powerful martial artists. The Blackwater mystical snake naturally saw the secret behind Fang Yu's move. If Fang Yu did not charge up, the effect of this move would be very limited. It would be very difficult for him to hurt it. Therefore, there was no need to dodge. Fang Yu, are you really going to go crazy with this old lunatic? Long Tianxian could not help but ask, "You should know that there's something wrong with this alchemy maniac." Of course there's something wrong with him. A master alchemist was exiled here. I wouldn't believe it if nothing happened. Fang Yu answered calmly. If that's the case, why did you? Long Tianxian was a little confused. First of all, he might be someone from the Azure Dragon Academy. I've been bribed by Vice Principal Wang many times, and my body has long since taken on the shape of the Azure Dragon Academy. It's hard for me not to help you with this favor. Besides, it's not like you don't know that the Wailing Grotto may look small, but it's actually shockingly huge. There are spatial turbulences everywhere. It's very difficult to find it with just the few of us. Since he has clues, we can only work together. In the end, my friends were all defeated. I was all alone. What could I do? I'm also in despair, okay? Fang Yu said helplessly, so cooperating with him is also a trend. Your bragging skills are getting better and better. Long Tianxian rolled her eyes at Fang Yu. Be careful, it's coming. Fang Yu's eyes narrowed. Thunder light burst out from his fingertips, and the power of thunder and lightning surged. Boom! This attack was different from the previous ones. It sent the dark water mystical snakes flying. Hiss! You have a death wish. If the dark water mystical snake was not afraid of the king of the blue hurricane lilies, he would have used all his strength to kill Fang Yu. When a demon king was not afraid of anything, it was undoubtedly the scariest thing. That was why Fang Yu had been toying with the storage bottle, in order to make the dark water mystical snake wary. Unless the dark water mystical snake did not mind destroying the king of the blue hurricane lilies when he killed Fang Yu. But the dark water mystical snake was afraid of the consequences. If the king of the blue hurricane lilies fell into someone else's hands, there would be a day when he could get it back. However, if he was careless and ruined it, then he would have nothing left. Therefore, no matter how angry the dark water mystical snake was, he kept himself in check. He was afraid that he would destroy the king of the blue hurricane lilies as well. Fang Yu stared at the dark water mystical snake. A demon king who clearly had the ability to kill him, but was afraid of losing the king of the blue hurricane lilies. How sad. Dark water mystical snake, you rely too much on external forces. You want to become a demon king? Stop joking around. Fang Yu laughed. Give me back the king of the blue hurricane lilies. The dark water mystical snake did not care what Fang Yu said. He had already realized that Fang Yu's soaring dragon technique was greatly limited in this terrain. However, the soaring dragon technique was a top-notch technique after all. He could still move at lightning speed. However, the dark water mystical snake was not a local snake for nothing. He had been searching for Fang Yu's weaknesses. 1, 2, 3. Fang Yu's flaws were becoming more and more apparent in its eyes. Whoosh! At that moment, the dark water mystical snake moved. He moved as fast as lightning and approached Fang Yu in an instant. What? Fang Yu's expression changed drastically. This scene was definitely not within his expectations. See? You underestimated the Demon King. Now you're screwed. No matter how weak the Demon King is, they're still Demon Kings. Their understanding of cultivation is different from that of ordinary creatures. Otherwise, how can they be called kings? Long Tianxian said as she helped Fang Yu dodge. This was the greatest benefit of spiritual attachment with Long Tianxian. Fang Yu was in charge, and Long Tianxian was in charge. For example, Fang Yu could not avoid it. However, Long Tianxian could see that she had at least 3 ways to deal with it. Rumble. Then, Fang Yu and the dark water mystical snake brushed past each other in the nick of time. Huff, huff, Fang Yu panted as he stared at the dark water mystical snake. Isn't this beast a little too terrifying? If not for Long Tianxian, Fang Yu would have been half dead. He would have been at the mercy of the dark water mystical snake. Demon kings were so king scary. He dodged it. Fang Yu was not the only one who was shocked. The dark water mystical snake was just as surprised. Just now, it was certain that Fang Yu would not be able to avoid it. However, Fang Yu still managed to evade the question mysteriously. What the hell was this? It's about time. Suddenly, Potion Maniac walked out of the darkness. Hiss, the dark water mystical snake stared at Potion Maniac in confusion. It thought that Potion Maniac had escaped. After all, he had provoked the dark water mystical snake. He would not rest until he was dead. Even demon beasts would not dare to provoke the dark water mystical snake, let alone martial artists. Silent people were the scariest, and so were demon beasts. If Fang Yu had not shown up, the dark water mystical snake would have activated its sensing ability to find the two people hiding here. However, Fang Yu had walked into the trap with the king of the blue hurricane lilies. Of course, the dark water mystical snake could not care less about Potion Maniac. All it wanted was the king of the blue hurricane lilies. Now that Potion Maniac had appeared out of nowhere, the dark water mystical snake had a bad feeling. This was ridiculous. The dark water mystical snake was afraid of a martial artist? Even if the martial artist was a human martial king, it was still the same. The dark water mystical snake knew that Potion Maniac had not fought seriously for a long time. He was relying on his martial king cultivation and past experience. Otherwise, the dark water mystical snake would have killed him within 3 moves. Chapter 371. All of you are here now. Are you going to be beheaded? The Blackwater mystical snake asked coldly. Beheaded? You think you can do that? Potion Maniac laughed. Do you think you can still use your spiritual power? What? The Blackwater mystical snake's expression changed. He tried to activate his spiritual power, but it was as Potion Maniac had said. It was like a clay ox entering the sea. At first, he could still sense it, but later on, he could no longer feel it. It was as if he had turned into an ordinary person. How is this possible? The Blackwater mystical snake suddenly remembered something. You old man are an alchemist. You drugged me. Drugged you? As if I did something shameful, Potion Maniac said casually. Potion Maniac said casually, and you're a male snake. I'm really not interested. Would you be more interested in a female snake? Fang Yu's unexpected retort made Potion Maniac roll his eyes. Impossible. You drugged me. How could I not have sensed anything? This is impossible. The Blackwater mystical snake was about to go berserk. That was right. If Potion Maniac had drugged him, how could he not sense it at all? It was you? The Blackwater mystical snake stared at Fang Yu in shock. Yes, it was me. My ass. Fang Yu glanced at the Blackwater mystical snake. We've been chasing each other all this time. If I had drugged you, you're not blind. How could you not sense it? So, I'm just a bait, a very simple bait. Everything else was done by him. Impossible. The Blackwater mystical snake felt that his worldview had been turned upside down. Nothing is impossible. There's a branch of alchemists called Poison Masters. As the name suggests, they are alchemists who specialize in making poisons. And I happen to be a poison master on the side. Potion Maniac smiled coldly. Seeing this, Fang Yu suddenly understood. If Potion Maniac was a poison master, then it would explain why Fang Yu's friends had all been poisoned without anyone noticing. It turned out that Potion Maniac was also a poison master. As expected of a poison master. Actually, I already felt that his previous methods were a little strange. Although there is no lack of people with strange temperaments among the alchemists, there shouldn't be anyone as strange as him. Long Tianxian was suddenly enlightened. And the plan he designed, normally speaking, the success rate is not high. But he is so confident, there must be something wrong. If they're planning to use poison, then everything makes sense. You've already turned into a medicine concocting cauldron, Meng Hao said. You've chased us all the way here, constantly rubbing against each other, constantly swallowing materials. Through the circulation of your spiritual power, you've turned them into poison. You've been poisoned, Alchemy Maniac said with a smile. Is it easy to kill it now? Fang Yu was eager to give it a try. It was so arrogant towards him just now. If he didn't teach it a lesson, he would be letting himself down. It can no longer use its spiritual energy, but its physical strength is still there. As long as you have the confidence to break through its physical defense, you can kill it at will, Alchemy Maniac said confidently. Hearing that, Fang Yu and the Blackwater Mystical Snake were both stunned. Then, the Blackwater Mystical Snake quickly fled. Since it could no longer use its spiritual energy, it might still have a chance to survive. After all, even if it was a poison, it wouldn't be in effect all the time, right? Therefore, it still had a chance to escape. Hey you, Fang Yu was a little speechless. Some words were better said in secret. Now that it was said so openly, it would be a lie to say that it was not scared away. Haha, isn't this a good opportunity to test your ability? You must have just gone through the night of tribulation, right? At this time, what you need most is to bathe in blood and feel the power of martial spirits. The Blackwater Mystical Snake is not weak among the monster kings. If you can kill it, it will be a good experience for you. Consider it a reward in advance, Alchemy Maniac said with a smile. He was no longer as crazy as before. Fang Yu did not know what to say for a moment. Go after it, Alchemy Maniac scolded. Fang Yu quickly went after it. Russell, without spiritual power, the Blackwater Mystical Snake could still walk very fast. In fact, there were some secret rivers in the Wailing Grotto. They were mysterious, and even the Blackwater Mystical Snake did not know where they led to. However, that was not important. Most importantly, if Blackwater Mystical Snake didn't know about it, it was impossible for anyone else to know about it, let alone know about it. Therefore, the only way for the Blackwater Mystical Snake to survive was through the water. Where do you think you're going? Fang Yu approached the Blackwater Mystical Snake. The Blackwater Mystical Snake was indeed powerful, but Fang Yu was not to be trifled with either. Besides, there was no way he could get rid of the soaring dragon technique with just his physical body. Blackwater Mystical Snake, you're going to die, Fang Yu said in a low voice. You? The Blackwater Mystical Snake sneered. Even if I can't use spiritual energy, my body is still the body of a martial king. You want to kill me? Who do you think you are? I'm Fang Yu. Fang Yu grabbed the Dragon Fang dagger and approached quickly. Naive. The Blackwater Mystical Snake thought that Fang Yu was too naive. How could it be fooled by such a simple tactic? However, to the Blackwater Mystical Snake's surprise, Fang Yu threw something at it. This is the king of the blue hurricane lilies? The Blackwater Mystical Snake's expression changed drastically. What was this person trying to do? Was he trying to destroy it? If so, it would definitely make this person its mortal enemy. Just as the Blackwater Mystical Snake was about to snatch the bottle back, Fang Yu unleashed a torrential dragon aura. Dragon Gate Suppression. The Blackwater Mystical Snake froze as soon as the Dragon Gate appeared. Why do you have a Dragon Gate? The Blackwater Mystical Snake was shocked. Even the real Dragon Clan might not have a single replica of the Dragon Gate. So who was this person in front of it? Under the torrential dragon aura, the Blackwater Mystical Snake became very weak. It was as if Fang Yu had fallen below the level of a monster king. No. The Blackwater Mystical Snake finally showed fear as the Dragon Fang dagger grew larger and larger. It was going to die here today. Setting sun, blazing sun. Fang Yu swung his saber and sent the snake's head flying. Blood gushed out of the wound. The Blackwater Mystical Snake died with its eyes wide open. It didn't want to die here. A monster king's vitality is indeed terrifying, but what about this? Let me ask you, are you going to die here? Fang Yu grinned as he swung his saber at the rapidly descending bottle. Boom! The bottle was reduced to ashes. The Blackwater mystical snake's eyes widened, then gradually dimmed. Monster King Blackwater mystical snake, dead. The Monster Slayer King, Fong Yu. Chapter 372. Huff, huff, huff. After killing the Blackwater mystical snake, Fong Yu was also exhausted. He sat down on the ground, his chest heaving up and down as he panted heavily. Fong Yu might have looked relaxed during the whole process, but in fact, he had used up all his strength to kill the Blackwater mystical snake. Therefore, Fong Yu was already exhausted after killing the Blackwater mystical snake. However, Fong Yu did not allow himself to be exhausted. He circulated his cultivation method while keeping an eye on his surroundings to prevent himself from falling into a passive position. Is it dead? Potion Maniac walked over and glanced at the Blackwater mystical snake's body. It's dead. It's completely dead, Fong Yu said. You killed it a little too quickly. And even if you could kill it, logically speaking, it shouldn't have died so quickly and so cleanly. Potion Maniac asked, puzzled. I chopped the bottle in front of it. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Fong Yu smiled. Of course, it's a fake. I hid the real one well. That was right. Fong Yu had planned this move for a long time. As the saying went, hit the snake where it hurts. To deal with the Blackwater mystical snake, one had to start with what it cared about. Otherwise, it would be meaningless. What did the Blackwater mystical snake care about the most? The king of the blue hurricane lilies. Therefore, as long as one could control the Blackwater mystical snake's lifeline, more importantly, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Just as Fong Yu expected, the Blackwater mystical snake took its last breath when Fong Yu chopped the bottle in half. The destruction of the blue hurricane lilies was the straw that broke the camel's back. Otherwise, with the vitality of a monster king, the Blackwater mystical snake would not have died so easily. Interesting. You're interesting. Potion Maniac looked at Fong Yu and said, Give me some of the snake blood and keep the rest. Alright. Fong Yu thought it would be impolite to refuse. Then, he turned and said, By the way, Senior, why do I feel like you? What do you think I am? Potion Maniac asked. Do you think Potion Maniac is not as crazy as he used to be? Yes. Fong Yu nodded frankly. What he found strange was that Alchemy Maniac's current state was very different from before. The previous Medicine Maniac was an out-and-out lunatic. Sometimes he was normal, and sometimes he was crazy. However, Alchemy Maniac seemed to have truly awakened. This contrast was very strange and strange. It's because I'm about to concoct the pills. If it's a normal day, it's fine if I go crazy. But when it comes to pills, especially the extreme vitality pill, I have to be serious. Even if I'm a drug maniac, I can't go crazy at this time. Alchemy Maniac said with a smile. Extreme Yuan pill? Fong Yu said in surprise. Yes, the extreme vitality pill. It's a pill that can stimulate one's remaining potential. It's a pill that I created by combining the experiences of my predecessors. Unfortunately, it was a failure. Potion Maniac smiled bitterly. But now, with this king of blue spider lilies, it should be perfect. Let's go. Follow me back to the alchemy room. After saying that, Alchemy Maniac walked in front. Fong Yu hurriedly packed up and followed. Alchemy Maniac hadn't told him where the Saint Ruins were. He couldn't just leave like that. This Wailing Grotto is really strange. Kager, Lu Tianbing, and the others couldn't help but complain as they strolled around. Wasn't that right? The creatures here were very strange and sinister. They were good at mental attacks. If they weren't careful, they would suffer a great loss. Of course, each of them had their own trump cards and were quite powerful. It would not be so easy to defeat them. There's nothing better. Let's go back? Kager felt a little bored. Whether it was Lu Tianbing or Fong Yu, they were all cautious people. This was different from Fong Yu. Therefore, when they teamed up with Lu Tianbing and Bai Wuxia, they were just having fun. If they wanted excitement, they would have to depend on Fang Yu. Bai Wuxia had just nodded when he suddenly paused. What's wrong? Kager noticed that something was wrong and quickly asked. There's a problem here. Bai Wuxia said slowly. Come out. What are you trying to do by hiding? There are other creatures here? Kager was shocked by these words. He didn't notice these creatures. Still not coming out? After saying that, Bai Wuxia attacked. Boom. Bai Wuxia punched out, and one of the stone pillars instantly crumbled. After that, a figure was revealed. It was a creature that looked like a bat. However, it looked a little like a human. It was as tall as a human and as big as a human. Batman? Batman? Bat Demon King? Kager tried to find a few adjectives but found that none of them were enough to describe the creature. Alive. A living person. The Batman spoke in human language, giving Kager and the others a fright. They boasted that they were experienced and knowledgeable people. However, was there such a beast in Myriad Spirit Continent? There shouldn't be. Normally, a beast was a beast and a cultivator was a cultivator. The two were not the same. However, this unknown creature in front of them had overturned their impression of it. I remember Fang Yu saying that the Saint Ruins is in the Wailing Grotto. However, the Saint Ruins is not the Saint Ruins of our Myriad Spirit Continent. So, this thing came out of the Saint Ruins? Wang Zhong seemed to have remembered something and said in surprise. That's possible. No one objected. Because at present, Wang Zhong's statement was the closest to the answer. Should we try to catch it? Kager was eager to try. One had to know that once an alien world creature was caught, it could be sold for a good price. Of course, there were many reasons to buy them. Some were for fun, some were for research, and some were for torture and venting. In short, alien world creatures were very popular. Similarly, if Kager and the others went to other worlds, they would probably be treated similarly. Somehow, there was another kind of balance. However, as if it sensed the thoughts of Kager and the others, the Batman flapped its wings and flew away. It wanted to escape. It could see that these people had ill intentions towards it. Although he didn't have any good intentions towards Kager and the other party had the advantage in numbers. If they were the first to strike, even if they didn't die, they would suffer greatly. There was no need to do so. Therefore, it was more important to escape quickly. Want to escape? It's not that simple. Lu Tianbing shouted in a deep voice. He immediately summoned his spiritual weapon set and attacked the Batman as fast as lightning. Chapter 373. Whoosh! The bat figure was extremely fast, and the naked eye could not catch a trace of it. However, after becoming a martial spirit, the greatest benefit was the spiritual sense. What the naked eye could not see, the spiritual sense could track. Although the spiritual sense was not omnipotent and could be limited by various factors, in general, the spiritual sense was very convenient and useful. Very quickly, Lu Tianbing locked onto the bat figure. Where do you think you're going? Lu Tianbing reached out to grab it. Whoosh! However, when Lu Tianbing thought that he was going to grab it, the bat suddenly accelerated and he caught nothing. This, Lu Tianbing was slightly stunned. Hey! Don't you care about your reputation? Let me have a go at you! Kager roared and leaped to his feet. Originally, Kager wanted to wait for an opportunity to strike, but the bat figure was a little mysterious. Could even accelerate twice, and it seemed to have a lot of trump cards. If they left it alone, it might really escape. They looked around to see if they could find some clues before Fang Yu did. Otherwise, if they had to rely on Fang Yu for everything and Fang Yu as the main force, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? Buzz, faced with Kager's obstruction, the bat figure opened its mouth, and a strange sound wave spread out, causing everyone's ears to hurt as if they had been hurt. Don't even think about it. Wang Zhong intercepted it again. This bat figure was not simple, and it should have some background. If they caught it, it would be of great help to them in exploring the saint's relic. They could not let it leave just like that. Wang Zhong summoned his natal artifact. He was born with this bell. Such a person was destined to have great achievements in the future. However, this bell was very close to Wang Zhong. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were bound together for good or ill. If it was not necessary, Wang Zhong would not summon it so casually to avoid any unforeseen events. However, it was difficult for Wang Zhong to stay out of this matter since it was related to the saint's relic. He could only take action. Buzz! The two sound waves collided, and in the end, Wang Zhong had the upper hand. After all, the bell was an artifact while the Batmen were living creatures. When the sound waves collided and reverberated, it would definitely be more uncomfortable for the Batman's flesh and blood. Although Kegu and the others were also affected, the Batman's situation was definitely worse. You still want to leave? Seeing that the Batman was about to leave again, everyone was furious. Because if they didn't go all out this time, it would be really difficult to make the Batman stay. Let me. Bai Wuxia took a deep breath, and his body began to expand. Who? In the next moment, a gust of wind blew out of Bai Wuxia's mouth. Wow! The Batman felt dizzy and fell to the ground. By the time he wanted to get up, Lu Tianbing had already arrived. He held Batman down tightly. Cut off its limbs. Kager clenched his fists and said fiercely, in the territory of the barbarian race, there are also such ferocious and cunning creatures. We must not show mercy to them. Otherwise, they might escape without a trace, and all the effort we've spent will be for naught. It's better to leave professional matters to the professionals. Bai Wuxia did not argue. In the end, he was the one who defeated the Batman. But Bai Wuxia had to admit that without the help of his friends, things would not have gone so smoothly. On the other hand, Fang Yu had also followed Potion Maniac back to his alchemy room. His alchemy room was very well hidden, and there was a formation covering it. Fang Yu was very surprised. It was really rare to see such a place being so well hidden and well guarded. Alchemists should know a little bit about everything. Potion Maniac was a little happy. This was his obsession and love for alchemy all these years. Now that he was able to surprise Fang Yu, he felt that it was worth it and was very happy. Actually, Senior Potion Maniac, how did you end up like this? Fang Yu could not help but ask. Originally, he was not interested. However, after getting to know Potion Maniac better, Fang Yu was surprised to find that this person was quite capable. So the question was, how did such a person end up in such a state? It was really puzzling. You are not an ordinary candidate, Potion Maniac said all of a sudden. If I say that I was born extraordinary, would you believe me, Senior Potion Maniac? Fang Yu scratched his head and said, Don't talk nonsense here. Alchemy Maniac rolled his eyes at Fang Yu. Your attitude towards the Azure Dragon Institute is different from mine. This can only mean that you have some relationship with the upper echelons of the Azure Dragon Institute. You don't look like one of those rich second generations. Then, did you receive a special invitation? Senior Potion Maniac, you can even guess that. Fang Yu was surprised. No matter what, I was specially recruited back then. There are some secrets that ordinary people don't know, but I still know. Potion Maniac laughed. Alright, since Senior Potion Maniac knows, I will be honest with you. I am the candidate who received a special invitation letter from Vice Principal Wang. Fang Yu also revealed his background. Vice Principal Wang? Don't tell me it's Wang Dalong? Potion Maniac was shocked and said, Wang Dalong? I don't know Vice Principal Wang's name, but I can describe his characteristics to you. Fang Yu then described Vice Principal Wang's appearance. When he finished, Potion Maniac rolled his eyes at Fang Yu. No need to say more. He is Wang Dalong. He actually became a vice principal? That's not right. With his talent back then, it would be easy for him to become a principal. Is there a senior who is a principal or something? Potion Maniac asked doubtfully. I don't know. I don't even know whether the current principal is a man or a woman. I only know that the current principal is very young, and Vice Principal Wang is sincerely convinced by the current principal. Fang Yu said bluntly. Is that so? It seems that Azure Dragon Institute has produced many monsters. Wang Delong is a monster of our generation, but now he seems to have been killed by a later generation of monsters. That's really satisfying. Potion Maniac clicked his tongue. It seemed that although there was not much hatred between him and Vice Principal Wang back then, it was not very pleasant either. Otherwise, when talking about an old friend, how could it be like this? You should know that when Wang Delong was young, he traveled to many places, right? Potion Maniac went back to the topic. Yes. Fang Yu indicated that he knew. This was not a secret. Many people even wantonly talked about it. The reason why Vice Principal Wang was so strong was related to his travels when he was young and obtained various opportunities. As for what you asked, it probably happened after Wang Dalong's travels. Speaking of the past, Potion Maniac revealed a bitter smile. If Wang Delong did not travel, perhaps such a tragedy would not have happened. Chapter 374. Oh? Why is that? Fang Yu asked, puzzled. Why was Vice Principal Wang's presence directly related to whether or not a tragedy would occur? Why? Can't you see that my relationship with Wang Delong isn't very good? Wang Delong advocates relying on himself, and as an alchemist, I certainly advocate the combination of the two. The Extreme Yuan Pill is a pill that I created by combining the efforts of my predecessors. Speaking of this, Potion Maniac was somewhat proud. In fact, the guesses and speculations of our predecessors about the Extreme Yuan Pill were all correct. But they lacked an opportunity. In their era, the Tao of medicine was not as prosperous as the Tao of martial arts. Many of their ideas were unconstrained, real, and fake. There was no way to start. In my generation, many of the guesses of our predecessors have been proven to be wrong or fake, so it was easy for me to integrate them. Moreover, I had some dead ends in this aspect, so I just padded it, and the Extreme Yuan Pill was born. In fact, I still have some differences in my thinking with many predecessors. Their Extreme Yuan Pill had high requirements for warriors to consume, such as level, potential, and so on. I thought it was meaningless, because those who were really powerful did not have much potential left after crossing the tribulation, so it was meaningless to use the Extreme Yuan Pill. I think that the Ultimate Yuan Elixir should be given to ordinary warriors. It should be promoted to the entire myriad spirit continent instead of being a solitary flower. Therefore, when I created the Ultimate Yuan Elixir, I couldn't help but lean towards the general public. Potion Maniac said to himself, in the end, my product was indeed marketed to the general public, which was exactly what I wanted. But Wang Delong always had a different idea. He thought that although the Extreme Yuan Pill was desirable, the starting point of the Extreme Yuan Pill was originally very strong, so it was not suitable for the general public. At that time, I thought he was biased against Wang Delong because he was a monster. Because Wang Delong is a monstrous figure to begin with. How could he possibly understand that cultivation is not easy for ordinary people? Potion Maniac smiled bitterly, so I also deliberately chose to announce the completion of the Extreme Yuan Pill when Wang Delong was traveling. Completed? Fang Yu's face was filled with shock. If the effect of the Extreme Yuan Pill was really as terrifying as what Potion Maniac said, then he could somewhat understand why Potion Maniac was so fond of it. This was simply a miraculous elixir that could aid in cultivation, alright? But sigh. Potion Maniac sighed helplessly. Failed? Fang Yu asked. You see, I've been here for decades and I've become a drug maniac. Is there a need to ask about success or failure? Medicine Maniac shook his head and sighed. Then, after all these years, did you discover something wrong with the extreme yuan pill? Fang Yu asked again. Or rather, I'm going in the wrong direction. Speaking of this, Potion Maniac was dejected. I originally thought that I should have made some achievements in the extreme yuan pill. However, after many years, I realized that my direction was wrong. The sages were right. I was too arrogant at that time. That's why I harmed my juniors. Harmed the juniors? Fang Yu's heart sank. That's right. At that time, some juniors from ordinary backgrounds volunteered to try the extreme yuan pill. Because they were from ordinary backgrounds, they entered the Azure Dragon Institute. However, they didn't have as many resources as Wang Dalong or me. It was a rare opportunity, so they also wanted to give it a try. After all, once they succeeded, they wouldn't be qualified to try it for free. Then, Luoyang would become expensive. In the end, their meridians were severely damaged. It would take a long time for them to recover. They would definitely miss the golden time for cultivation. In addition, they were from ordinary backgrounds. I guess it would be difficult for them to break through to the martial king realm in the future. Potion Maniac smiled bitterly. At that time, hundreds of students were implicated. That's why I was exiled here. So serious. How long was the exile? Fang Yu was speechless. 500 years or solve the problem of the extreme yuan pill. Potion Maniac said. 500 years. Even if you're a martial king, you can't live for 500 years. Fang Yu was shocked. As for solving the problem of the extreme yuan pill, why would solving this problem pardon your sins? Don't you know that medicinal pills are very valuable in this line of business? If I solve the problem of the extreme yuan pill, I'll make a lot of money. I can also compensate the students in the past. In this way, my sins will naturally be reduced. Potion Maniac looked at Fang Yu as if he was looking at a fool. You have a point. Fang Yu couldn't refute Potion Maniac's words. Alright, get ready. I'm going to try to refine the final version of the extreme yuan pill. I believe that this version of the extreme yuan pill is correct. It's a pity that my arrogance in the past caused me to take so many detours. Potion Maniac sighed. Ding. Mission issued. Participate in the completion of the final version of the extreme yuan pill and take the first step to becoming an alchemist. Reward. Dragon Bone Armor. Fang Yu's eyes lit up. Dragon Bone Armor? Was this a treasure comparable to the Dragon Tooth Saber? The Dragon Tooth Saber had a great origin. It was made from a complete tooth of the Dragon Emperor. Moreover, there were many mysteries in the Dragon Emperor's tooth that had not been erased. Long Tianxian had gained a lot. If the Dragon Bone Armor was as mysterious as this, he would have made a fortune. Cough cough, Senior Potion Maniac. Actually, I can refine pills too. Fang Yu cleared his throat and said. What? You can refine pills too? Potion Maniac looked suspicious. Fang Yu could refine pills too? Was he really not joking? Potion Maniac understood that a person's energy was limited. It was impossible to take care of too many things at the same time. For example, among Fang Yu's friends, he could see that Lu Xinjian was actually half a step away from being a master craftsman. Even if Heaven's will was like a saber and he didn't know when he could take the next step, to have such talent at such a young age was already worthy of being called a genius. However, this also caused Lu Xinjian's combat strength to be weaker than ordinary martial spirit. Everyone seemed to be martial spirits, but Lu Xinjian was weaker. This difference might not be noticed by the younger generation, but in Potion Maniac's eyes, there was an obvious difference. Because of this, if Potion Maniac really wanted to kill someone, he would definitely kill Lu Xinjian, who was weaker in combat strength, first to eliminate an enemy. Now that Fang Yu had shown such amazing combat strength, no one would believe that Fang Yu had great attainments in alchemy. Anyway, he didn't believe it. Chapter 375. I feel that Senior Alchemy Maniac doesn't believe me? Fang Yu scratched his head and said. Alchemy Maniac smiled but did not say anything. It was almost written on his face that he did not believe Su Hao. Was there a need to ask about this kind of thing? Do you want me to show you my skills? Fang Yu said. Sure, you can choose some herbs. If you can refine them into pills, I will believe that you know how to refine pills and allow you to participate in the next improvement. Alchemy Maniac did not say much and said, Okay. Fang Yu agreed and immediately asked the super slaughtering system. Is the integration successful? Fang Yu asked. Ding. It has integrated all the refining methods that the host knows. Fang Yu found that the super slaughtering system statement was a bit strange. All the refining methods that the host knows. Does it include refining weapons? May I ask what this refining method is? Ding. Including the refining and refining knowledge that the host knows, it has been integrated into the host's unique knowledge. What the hell? Fang Yu felt a headache coming on. The reason was very simple. Refining weapons and refining pills were completely different. Refining weapons mainly depended on the materials. Otherwise, no matter how powerful your refining methods were, it would be difficult to refine a real weapon. Although there were rumors that there was a higher realm above the legendary realm where one could refine a weapon with ordinary iron. But whether it was true or not, no one knew. As for refining pills, it was to turn something rotten into something magical. For example, a few ordinary pills could only be refined into a first-grade pill by one person. However, if another person's technique was better, they could refine all kinds of strange and even higher-grade pills. This was the difference between refining weapons and refining pills in Wanling Continent. Now that the super slaughtering system said that it had integrated all the refining and refining methods that Fang Yu knew, how could Fang Yu not feel a headache coming on? He did not even know what kind of thing would be integrated into. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the refined word formula. Refined word formula, creator Fang Yu, can refine everything in the world. Refined word formula. Fang Yu was stunned. What was that? Was it created by Fang Yu? When did he create it? How could he not know? Ding. The host's general direction has been determined. The birth of the refined character formula is only a matter of time. So that's how it is. So that's how it is, your sister, there's such a way to play. Fang Yu was shocked. The super slaughter system was simply godly. To be honest, Fang Yu had witnessed the miracles of the super slaughter system time and time again. However, could he say that the surprise brought about by the super slaughter system was different each time? Every time Fang Yu thought that the biggest surprise was this, the super slaughter system would always give him an even bigger surprise. The super slaughter system was truly incredible. Could it be something that came out of another great world? Fang Yu could not help but let his imagination run wild. Kid, why are you in a daze? Hurry up and attack. Potion Maniac urged Fang Yu. He did not know what was going on with Fang Yu. Fang Yu had said that he would refine medicine for him to see, but he was just standing there. If this person was his apprentice alchemist, he would have kicked him out long ago. We're back. Keigu and the rest excitedly returned, attracting the attention of Lu Xinjian and the rest. Very quickly, their attention was attracted by something else. Because these guys didn't return empty-handed. They seemed to have brought something back. What is this? He Ping curiously stepped forward. A living thing? Lu Xinjian's eyes were sharp. She noticed that the thing they brought back was actually a living thing. Yes, our harvest this time. Look, it's a Batman. Keigu hurriedly introduced. Batman? They were all startled. Because who would have thought that these guys would go out for a stroll and catch a so-called Batman back? It should be related to the Saint Ruins. Bai Wuxia seriously said. Indeed, it doesn't lose to the Wailing Grotto. Feng Yaoguang approached. There's a high probability that it came here recently. It should be related to the Saint Ruins. Then, do you have any clues about the Saint Ruins? Lu Shenzhan asked. Nope. This guy secretly followed us and was discovered by us. It wanted to escape but was caught. Keigu explained the process in a concise and easy-to-understand manner. Then, it should have slipped out by itself. Lu Shenzhan had a headache. It was rare to have some clues, but the result was this. I can try to search its memory, but there might not be any results. Feng Yaoguang suddenly said. You can even do such a thing? Everyone was dumbfounded. Because such a thing could no longer be described as magical, okay? Feng Yaoguang definitely didn't have such an ability before. In other words, she had awakened it recently? Wasn't this too monstrous? Don't. Emo Ling stopped her. I know what the method you're talking about is. It's indeed effective, but the disadvantage is equally serious. It might be noticed by some big shots. At that time, you won't be able to get any benefit. Instead, you'll be hurt. After all, with such a Batman slipping out, it means that the Saint Ruins isn't completely devoid of living creatures. If we want to enter, we have to be careful. Alright. Then you do it. Feng Yaoguang said without hesitation. Emo Ling agreed and immediately began to deduce. Their deduction wasn't something that could be obtained out of thin air. The so-called deduction was, in fact, more of a combination of many conditions and a result after seeing it. If it was something mysterious, it was best to have some medium. For example, this Batman that was caught could be used as a medium. Buzz, a faint light fell from Emo Ling's palm and sprinkled on the Batman. The Batman's face was filled with pain. Some images were faintly discernible in Emo Ling's eyes. Found it, Emo Ling said excitedly. I found out how it came out. However, it's hard to say whether this place is the entrance to the Saint Ruins. Then, we'll make a move first, Bai Wuxia said. Generally speaking, it takes a lot of effort to open and close the Saint Ruins. The few of us might have to spend a lot of effort to enter. That's why it's best to go there in advance and make preparations. Then, how did it come out? Keigu pointed at the Batman. This has to do with the structure of the formation. Some formations are strict when it comes to entering but not so strict when it comes to leaving. Perhaps that's how it managed to slip out. However, it's still very difficult for us to enter. It's also a good idea for us to leave a message for Fang Yu. Feeling the gazes of the crowd, Vice Captain Lu Shenzhan made the final decision. Chapter 376. Long Tianxian, what kind of pill do you think I should refine? Fang Yu asked for Long Tianxian's opinion. Fang Yu, can you think for yourself? Don't ask me for everything, okay? Seriously? Long Tianxian said helplessly. You're an old senior. Isn't it natural for me to ask for your opinion? Fang Yu said with a smile. You're the old senior. Long Tianxian was infuriated by Fang Yu. Okay. You're the great senior. Great senior, okay? Fang Yu corrected himself. You're the senior. Your whole family is a senior. Long Tianxian wanted to scold him. Okay. Little sister, that's enough. Little sister, what kind of pill do you think I should refine? Fang Yu asked with a smile. Hearing that, Long Tianxian said slowly, actually, when it comes to pills and such, it depends on whether you want to refine it successfully or well. There's a difference between the two. The latter is more difficult. What if you want it to be good and fast? Fang Yu tilted his head and said. You're dreaming. Long Tianxian snapped. In my opinion, you should refine a rejuvenation pill. This is the upgraded version of the ancient golden sore medicine. It can restore a large amount of blood chi of low-level martial artists. Of course, this large amount is for low-level martial artists. The blood chi of powerful martial artists is like the mountains and the sea. Ordinary pills won't work. Rejuvenation pill. Okay. What's the recipe? Fang Yu asked again. Long Tianxian was stunned by this question. She asked in surprise. You don't even know the recipe. You don't even know the recipe for the rejuvenation pill, and you want to refine it? I really want to know who gave you the courage. That's not important. I have my ancestral refining skills. Fang Yu waved his hand, indicating that he did not want to explain further. Long Tianxian was skeptical. But since Fang Yu had said so much, what else could she do? Force him? That was meaningless. Then, Long Tianxian told him the recipe for the rejuvenation pill. Although she was an illegitimate child of the dragon race, her father's status was high. Long Tianxian had learned a lot of things that the direct descendants of the dragon race should learn. She was a true multi-talented person. I want to refine the rejuvenation pill, Fang Yu said to Potion Maniac as he picked the herbs according to Long Tianxian's instructions. Potion Maniac smiled without saying a word. Rejuvenation pill, this thing was not simple. This was a very ordinary and basic pill. However, the Great Tao was simple. There were some things that happened to be the most basic of medicinal pills. Only then could one test one's true skill and level. Fang Yu's appearance did not look like someone who knew alchemy at all. Even the steps of picking and washing the herbs were a little unfamiliar. Was this really someone who knew how to refine medicine? Don't make him laugh. The so-called picking of herbs was to choose the most suitable material among the many basic materials. For example, there was a type of medicinal herb called cape, which was a mineral produced by the sea. However, the cape varied in size and quantity. Both the size and quantity of the medicinal herbs had a huge impact on the success rate and quality of the medicinal herbs. For example, some people were used to refining medicine quickly. The movements were fast and the rhythm was fast. If the medicinal herbs were too strong, wouldn't it be suicide? Therefore, it was best for alchemists who were used to refining medicine quickly to choose herbs with less strong medicinal herbs. This was a kind of balance. Washing herbs was to remove the impurities in the medicinal herbs. Strong medicinal herbs were not stained with dust, but ordinary medicinal herbs still had many impurities. Sand, dust, and so on. If they were not cleaned up, it would definitely have a big impact on refining medicine. Therefore, these basic skills were actually a test for alchemists. Of course, when alchemists were recruited, they would usually let alchemists handle these basic steps. As a noble alchemist, they could not do everything by themselves, right? What was the difference between that and being an alchemist? However, once an expert made a move, one would know whether or not he was an expert. In the eyes of an experienced alchemist like Potion Maniac, it was easy to see through Fang Yu's mistakes. This kid was definitely not an alchemist. He was deliberately putting on an act here. Fang Yu prepared step by step. Seeing that he was calm and not panicking at all, Potion Maniac despised him even more. He disliked flashy but impractical young people the most. Fang Yu was simply hitting the nail on the head. Yes, I don't have a cauldron. Fang Yu seemed to have remembered something and said. This question directly made Potion Maniac laugh out loud. What was an alchemist? It was a martial artist who could refine medicine independently. If one could not successfully refine any kind of medicine, then he would be an alchemist for the rest of his life. However, no matter how junior an alchemist was, it was necessary to have a cauldron that belonged to him. Fang Yu claimed that he was a genuine alchemist, but on the other hand, he did not have a cauldron. It was simply impossible to keep it up, okay? I say enough. Time is of the essence. I have a lot of preparation to improve the medicine. Don't waste my time. Potion Maniac said in a deep voice. He was serious. This matter was especially important to him. If Fang Yu delayed it, Fang Yu could not afford to be responsible. "Don't worry, I'll make you satisfied. Lend me a cauldron first," Fang Yu said with a smile. "These are all my collections. If you succeed, I'll give you one," Potion Maniac said as he took out a few cauldrons from his collection. The first one was a dark red cauldron. It was very exquisite and had a strange kind of beauty. When one looked at it, they couldn't take their eyes off it. This is a small red clay cauldron. It's very famous. It's the work of a young alchemy cauldron master. Although this master's technique became more exquisite after he got older, he no longer had the artistic conception of the small red clay cauldron. Look, the small red clay cauldron seems to represent tranquility and peace, but it actually represents hibernation and forbearance to kill. It was also the master's ambition when he was young. Potion Maniac shook his head and said, "The reason why I joined Azure Dragon Academy was because they gave me the small red clay cauldron when I met them. This is one of the treasures I've been looking for after refining medicine. I liked it very much, so I agreed." "Interesting. It seems that it can also increase the strength of the flame?" Fang Yu seemed to have noticed something. "Yes. The small red clay cauldron is exquisite because of the word fire. It can increase or weaken the flame. You have to know that in refining medicine, the stronger the flame, the better. Sometimes you also need a soft flame. The small red clay cauldron can increase the control of the flame. It's something that can only be found by chance." Potion Maniac could not help but look at Fang Yu. "I didn't expect you to have such good eyesight. You can see that it's extraordinary." "Of course, my eyesight is excellent." Fang Yu did not hold back as he praised himself. Chapter 377. What about this one? Fang Yu looked at the next cauldron. This cauldron was different from the red clay cauldron, which was deep and reserved. It was shining with silver light. "This is the silver light cauldron that I personally ordered when I became a master. Its effect is far better than ordinary cauldrons. As for its characteristics, it's eye-catching. In fact, the most amazing thing about it is that it's not that difficult to operate," Potion Maniac said proudly, "because I've thought about it. If there's a chance in the future, I'll give this cauldron that I ordered when I became a master to my successor or descendants. Unfortunately, there's no chance." Fang Yu's untimely ridicule made Potion Maniac slightly stunned. Sigh, Potion Maniac sighed, his eyes dim. Yes, who would have thought that after graduation, his path would be completely different from Wang Dalong's. Wang Dalong traveled around and eventually became Vice Dean Wang. What about him? He had become a prisoner. Potion Maniac was willing to atone for his sins. Azure Dragon Institute knew how high Potion Maniac's talent in medicine was. Such a person might have taken a wrong step, but his future achievements were immeasurable. The punishment they gave was far lighter than now. However, Potion Maniac refused. It was not that he did not regret it over the years. He regretted being young and frivolous. He regretted not knowing the ways of the world. However, even though he regretted it, Potion Maniac buried his head in improving the pill formula once again. Therefore, many years passed in the blink of an eye. His mental state was not right and he became crazy. This was the disadvantage of working behind closed doors. There was no discussion and he had to do it all by himself. Fortunately, he finally stood in front of the door of the final step today. He was confident that this time, he could really improve the elixir formula. Then, Fang Yu looked at the third cauldron. This cauldron was different from the previous ones. It was completely black and looked like a black beast. "What cauldron is this?" Fang Yu could not help but ask. "This? It's the Black Beast Cauldron," Potion Maniac replied. "The Black Beast Cauldron is very strange and strange." Black Beast Cauldron. Suddenly, Long Tianxian, who was in a daze, woke up. Do you know what the Black Beast Cauldron is? Fang Yu asked. Of course I know. Because of the Black Beast. It was very famous in the Myriad Spirit continent. Long Tianxian chuckled and said, Fang Yu, you know the Mad Beast, Mad God, right? Yes. Fang Yu nodded. The Berserk beasts were the main reason why they wreaked havoc in the land of the Berserk tribe. They were very violent but very intelligent creatures. They were very different from ordinary beasts. Some said that the Berserk beasts came from beyond the heavens. In short, the period when the Berserk beasts ruled was the darkest period for the barbarian tribe. Because the Berserk beasts had the Berserk god. Even though in the later legends, a god of berserkers was also born in the land of berserkers. The god of berserkers had spent his entire life repairing the cracks in the land of the berserkers. These marks left behind by the mad god could only be repaired by another god-tier existence. Although there should have been more than one divine-level expert in the 10,000 spirits continent at that time, they were neither relatives nor friends, so it was unlikely that they would pay such a great price to repair the land of the berserkers. Later, the god of berserkers repaired most of the land of the berserkers, which also took many years. In the end, he left the 10,000 spirits continent and went to the land beyond the heavens in search of a higher world. The god of berserkers once said that there should be a god-tier world. The black beasts have the black god. They are very powerful, very powerful. However, they are different from the mad beast and the mad god. The black beasts and the black god are absolutely evil. Long Tianxian said seriously, the mad beast and the mad god are lunatics. They only want to destroy and wreak havoc. However, the black beasts and the black god are very intelligent. Their way of thinking is different from the mad beast and the mad beast. They intend to infect the entire 10,000 spirits continent. What does this mean? Fang Yu was puzzled. They want to breed the black beasts here. The black beasts are evil creatures from an unknown world. Their offspring will only be the black beasts. They are very terrifying. Long Tianxian said seriously. Moreover, the powerful black beasts may directly suck the vitality of their mother's body, allowing them to be born. In short, the black beast's disaster was a complete disaster. In the end, the divine-level existences of the 10,000 spirits continent joined forces to exterminate the black beasts. So terrifying! Fang Yu was scared witless. Now, the 10,000 spirits continent only had martial emperors. There were not many legends of martial gods. It was obvious that there had not been a martial god for many years. Now that the black beasts had to be surrounded by so many divine-level existences, it was indeed terrifying. You must not have expected that the mad god at that time also contributed. The black beasts were before the mad beast. The black beasts greatly affected the mad beast. The black beast's flesh was not tasty and difficult to absorb. The mad beast was very repulsed. The black beasts wanted to occupy all the places they could reach. The mad beast refused. Long Tianxian sneered. Of course, at that time, no one expected the mad beast to have such a bad influence on the land of the barbarian race. Otherwise? Fang Yu waited quietly for her to continue. Otherwise, they would not have been able to do anything to the mad beast. Long Tianxian finished her words. Your words are so boring. Fang Yu rolled his eyes at Long Tianxian. Long Tianxian did not care and said, The Black Beast Cauldron, this is a saying that only appeared in recent years. Back then, the Black Hand was slaughtered, but there were still some lucky people who obtained the remains of the black beasts and used them to forge weapons or other things. This cauldron is probably closely related to the black beast. May I ask where this black beast cauldron came from? Fang Yu asked tentatively. Since it was related to the black beasts, he had to be cautious. I won it from a bet with someone. Potion Maniac grinned and said, This is an expert from the black domain. He is a dual cultivator of medicine and martial art. His martial arts are terrifying. He is older than Wang Delong, but he crushed Wang Delong. As for my medicine Dao, I beat him by a little, because his medicine Dao talent is not as terrifying as his martial Dao talent. I see, Fang Yu nodded slightly. The Black Beast Cauldron is very strange. I believe you have heard of the Black Beasts, right? However, there are still some special things about them. I have concluded that there are about 2 points. Potion Maniac cleared his throat and said, the first point is that it has a bonus for refining elixirs with violent effects. It seems to fit the characteristics of the Black Beast. Fang Yu pondered. The second point is, you know it. I don't need to say more about this. Potion Maniac had an expression that said, but the Black Beasts are a kind of misfortune after all. So, sometimes they are too violent or too ferocious. It is not strange that they exceed one's expectations. Chapter 378. Then I'll choose this Black Beast Cauldron. Fang Yu didn't even look at the last cauldron and said directly, huh? Don't you want to think about it? Alchemy Maniac was surprised. This was because the fourth cauldron also had some background and wasn't inferior to the previous 3 cauldrons. I think this Black Beast Cauldron is not bad, I'll take it, Fang Yu added in his heart. Anyway, he wasn't a real alchemist. Although he had some interest in alchemy, Fang Yu still focused on martial arts. Okay. Since you're not afraid of the Black Beast Cauldron, I'll let you use it. If you really refine the rejuvenation pill, I'll let you take the Black Beast Cauldron away. Alchemy Maniac said lightly. Obviously, he thought that Fang Yu couldn't take the Black Beast Cauldron away. Alchemy wasn't that difficult for him. However, it wasn't that simple and direct. If they underestimated alchemy, they would definitely suffer a big loss. Alchemy Maniac felt that he should teach Fang Yu a lesson. Okay. Fang Yu didn't say much and directly took the Black Beast Cauldron and injected spiritual energy. The Black Beast Cauldron was now an ownerless item. As long as he had enough cultivation, it wouldn't be a problem to refine some insignificant pills. Of course, if he wanted to refine high-grade pills, it would still be dangerous and there might be a backlash. However, with Alchemy Maniac watching over him, it wouldn't be a problem. Fang Yu lit the cauldron. In alchemy, in addition to the basic materials, there were 3 most important points. First, the technique. Different alchemists usually had their own refining technique. This was like how some people were good at using knives and some were good at using swords, but it didn't affect the fact that they were all experts. Second, the cauldron. From the conversation just now, it wasn't difficult to see that different cauldrons had different effects or different bonuses. This was the significance of special cauldrons. Otherwise, why would one need to spend a lot of money to buy a cauldron? Third, the flame. There were some extremely special flames in the world that had their own characteristics, just like the medicinal cauldron. They could be used to refine medicine, and their importance often surpassed that of the medicinal cauldron. However, there were not many good flames. Most of them would settle for the second best, starting from the medicinal cauldron. Of course, there were also true alchemy freaks who possessed both a medicinal cauldron and a flame, making others envious. Alchemy Maniac looked on calmly. In fact, in his opinion, no matter how miraculous and powerful Fang Yu was, that was all there was to it. As a former genius of the academy, he had seen too many geniuses and monsters. Although Fang Yu wasn't bad, he still couldn't dominate, because the semi-finals were far from over. However, when Fang Yu really started refining, Potion Maniac's eyes widened. Fang Yu's control over fire was superb. His extraction of the essence of medicinal herbs was even more tyrannical and overbearing. However, there was finesse amidst his roughness. He did not harm the foundation at all. What's going on? What kind of technique was this? It's so domineering that it's as if he's refining a weapon. However, there's also a kind of exquisite delicacy. Every detail is firmly grasped. What kind of alchemy technique is this? Potion Maniac was puzzled. This, the refined character formula, is indeed powerful. Fang Yu was shocked by the refined character formula himself. The refined character formula was too domineering and unparalleled. The feeling it gave him was similar to what Potion Maniac felt. However, as the owner, Fang Yu could still feel something deeper. The refined character formula is still changing. It can still become stronger? With that thought, Fang Yu's breathing quickened. Can we really find its nest? Everyone muttered as they followed Mo Ling. That was because they had been walking for a long time. After walking for a long time, nothing happened. Generally speaking, there were two situations. First, it was in some irrelevant places in the periphery. Second, it was in some very deep places. The Wailing Grotto was not without any living beings. It was occupied by some terrifying living beings. There might be more than one demon king in the Wailing Grotto. This was the main reason why no one wanted to come to the Wailing Grotto unless there was something important. Now that they were searching for the saint's remains, it was indeed not a good decision to rashly enter. We can't always rely on Fang Yu. Mo Ling said indifferently. Moreover, the real saint's remains are probably very dangerous. If we can't even overcome the small difficulties in the Wailing Grotto, how can we say that we've obtained the fortune of the saint? That's true, but be careful. It seems like a demon king is coming. Kegu was still muttering when he suddenly sensed something and said sternly. Everyone tacitly went into hiding. Almost none of them came from an ordinary background. Even Feng Yaoguang, who was relatively ordinary, had changed time and time again. She had grasped some power that she had never grasped before. It was as easy as flipping one's hand. Soon a figure appeared. It was a slow-moving demon king. It was a weird-looking turtle. Shadow Turtle King? It lives in the darkness and has the ability to sneak into shadows. However, its speed isn't very fast. Its defensive ability is not weak in the Turtle Clan. It's a classic example of, if you can't kill me, I can't kill you. After confirming that it was the Shadow Turtle King, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The Shadow Turtle King was a kind of demonic beast with a gentle temperament. It rarely took the initiative to attack. Now that they met the Shadow Turtle King, was it really just a coincidence? After the Shadow Turtle King left, they gathered together to discuss. It seems like it's really in this direction. Mo Ling said with certainty. Creatures like the Shadow Turtle King wouldn't run around. It came and left, so it must have come for something. However, it couldn't obtain it for the time being, so it could only leave. Then let's go quickly and take a look. If it's possible, then it's fine. If it's not possible, then we'll go back and wait for Fang Yu to meet up before making any plans. Lu Shenzhan said seriously. Actually, the possibility of them going back was the highest. Even the Shadow Turtle King had returned empty-handed. Although their methods were powerful, it was hard to say if they were stronger than the local tyrant, the Shadow Turtle King. This was because the Shadow Turtle King's shadow stealth was extremely powerful. Ordinary people couldn't guard against it. It could also sneak in through the shadows. To the Shadow Turtle King, some of the doors existed in name only. Of course, the Saint Ruins was definitely not that simple. However, the Shadow Turtle King had definitely tried before, but it had failed. Let's go and take a look. Everyone had the same opinion. It's done? Potion Maniac looked at Fang Yu seriously refining medicine. He had already reached the final step and couldn't help but click his tongue in wonder. This was because Fang Yu had a high chance of succeeding. It would depend on the final result. A mere rejuvenation pill right now. Potion Maniac's attitude was still disdainful. Chapter 379. The Miracle Cure Elixir was a very basic elixir. However, sometimes the basic elixir was difficult to make. The Potion Maniac knew this very well. Now that Fang Yu had managed to make the elixir, the quality of the elixir would definitely be worrying. However, just as Fang Yu opened the cauldron to take out the elixir, a burst of fragrance rushed towards him. This is... The potion maniac's eyes lit up. He quickly walked closer and saw a small round elixir lying in Fang Yu's cauldron. Looking at the shape and outline, it was undoubtedly the miracle cure elixir. It's really the miracle cure elixir. The potion maniac was shocked. The quality of the elixir was not bad at all. It was obviously the work of an experienced alchemist. At the thought of this, the potion maniac revealed a strange expression. An experienced alchemist? Fang Yu did not even have the basic skills of an alchemist. Where did he get the experience from? Could it be that there's something wrong with his alchemy technique? The potion maniac remained silent. Alchemy techniques were also called alchemy technique. It was similar to martial arts techniques. However, it was limited to martial arts techniques and techniques for alchemy. Compared to ordinary cultivation methods and martial arts, alchemy techniques were undoubtedly more precious. Every alchemist would even treat their alchemy techniques as a kind of inheritance. He did not know how talented Fang Yu was in alchemy. However, judging from the fact that Fang Yu did not even have the basic skills in cauldron, it was not difficult to deduce that this kid was a complete novice in alchemy. However, now that Fang Yu had given him a perfect score, the answer could only be that Fang Yu had a very powerful alchemy technique. The potion maniac was puzzled. That was because a powerful alchemy technique was like a spiritual martial art. It had a spirit. It would choose its owner. If the owner was not recognized, the owner would not understand the meaning behind it. Therefore, for Fang Yu to be able to acquire such an alchemy technique, it could only mean that his talent was recognized. By such a kid, the potion maniac's eyelids twitched. What was wrong with this world? Could it still be cured? That's not right, there's still. While potion maniac was sulking, he noticed that there was something slightly different about this pill. He picked it up and examined it carefully. He was shocked. This is Dan veins. Potion maniac sucked in a cold breath. Fang Yu actually managed to refine Dan veins. What are elixir veins? Fang Yu smiled and didn't say anything. Facing the surprised potion maniac, he asked Long Tianxian. You don't even know what pill veins are, yet you know such a profound alchemy technique? Long Tianxian was shocked. Fang Yu didn't play by the rules at all. Alchemy techniques are alchemy techniques, and pill veins are pill veins. These are two different things, right? Fang Yu frowned. Bullshit. Generally speaking, they are the same thing. Your alchemy skills are so terrifying, how could you not know that the pill veins represent the highest quality of the pill you've refined? Long Tianxian looked at Fang Yu suspiciously. Right now I really don't know. Fang Yu's face was full of helplessness. Then what about your alchemy technique? Do you dare to tell me what it is? Long Tianxian asked and muttered to herself. But your alchemy technique is strange enough. I saw traces of our dragon clan's refining technique. Although our dragon clan also has profound alchemy techniques, the two are ultimately different. But you seem to have perfectly combined them. What's going on? Maybe it's because I'm talented. Fang Yu's serious answer made Long Tianxian lose interest in asking. She knew Fang Yu too well. When Fang Yu made up his mind to play dumb, no matter what you said, Fang Yu wouldn't pay attention to you. She might as well not ask. If she asked too much, she would also feel tired. Okay, I'll tell you. This alchemy technique is called refined word formula. The main point is the word refine. It can be used to refine equipment, refine medicine, and refine all kinds of things. Fang Yu said proudly. Refined word formula? That's a domineering name. Long Tianxian was also a little shocked. Fang Yu was really arrogant, or rather, the concept of this alchemy technique was really high. Brat, where did you get this alchemy technique? Alchemy Maniac looked at it again and again. After confirming that it was a rejuvenation pill with an elixir pattern, he took a deep breath and asked, "It's an inheritance that I got by chance. Alchemy is just a side skill. But maybe I have some talent and can learn it quickly." Fang Yu talked nonsense in a serious manner. Some talent? Alchemy Maniac's mouth twitched. Indeed, Fang Yu's method was a little immature. His basic skills and knowledge were not very good. But Fang Yu was really cool when he was refining medicine. In other words, Fang Yu and this alchemy technique were very compatible. This was an extremely rare thing. Since this alchemy technique came from someone else, there was a possibility that it was not compatible. Just like martial arts, some people like to be bold, but this kind of martial arts was not suitable for feminine and delicate. It was the same for alchemy technique. Fang Yu's alchemy technique was fierce and domineering. In other words, was Fang Yu also a fierce and domineering person? Looking at his behavior, he is fierce and domineering. He is not inferior to Wang Delong in the past. No wonder he was chosen by Wang Delong. Alchemy Maniac thought to himself. Senior Alchemy Maniac, what do you think? Can I participate in the plan to improve the formula? Fang Yu asked anxiously. He wanted to complete the task and get the dragon bone armor. If Alchemy Maniac refused and did not let Fang Yu participate, all his efforts would be in vain. However, Alchemy Maniac was not in a hurry to answer. He was deep in thought. Initially, he did not want Fang Yu to participate. Fang Yu wanted to do the last step and not participate in the process. But now, Alchemy Maniac was wavering. Especially since Fang Yu had passed his test, and passed it so well, what else could he say? It should be very close. Mo Ling reminded everyone to keep quiet. At the same time, Mo Ling also noticed that there were not many traces of living creatures nearby. Obviously, there were not many monster kings who knew about this place. It was very likely that only the Shadow Turtle King knew about it. Moreover, the Shadow Turtle King could move stealthily through the shadows. Unless one happened to see it, no one would even know if it had just passed by. The saint's remains was something that could tempt demon kings and even stronger creatures. If they caused too much of a commotion and attracted many demon kings, they would definitely be dead. Therefore, it was better to be careful. In the end, they stopped in front of a huge door. Is this the entrance to the Saint Ruins? It's so huge and majestic. Kager was amazed. And it's so gorgeous. It's just a little shabby, as if there was a big battle. Indeed, but the result is most likely that the attack failed. Otherwise, this thing would not have been left here until now. Mo Ling said softly. Chapter 380. There's still some aura left on it. It's the aura of a very powerful being. Moreover, it doesn't seem to belong to our world. Bai Wuxia said as he caressed the door. The living beings that came to the Bai family were not limited to the human race. There were also many powerhouses from other forces. However, the aura left on this door was different from the ones he usually encountered. It was a different being. Then it's confirmed that the Saint Ruins came from another world. Kager rubbed his chin and said, I don't even see a crack here. No wonder the Shadow Turtle King ran away with its tail between its legs. Then how did it come out? Lu Tianbing lifted the Batman up. The Batman was currently in a deep slumber. This was a good thing they did. This Batman had too many tricks up its sleeves, so they had to be on guard. Unfortunately, Kager was too heavy-handed and knocked it out. It had not woken up yet. Could it be that it was accidentally thrown out during the descent? He Ping made a guess. That's not very likely. Lu Shuzhan shook his head. Judging from the material, this door is also a very magical and powerful treasure. It can be transferred from another world. Whether it's powerful or not, it's needless to say. If it was accidentally thrown out during the descent, would you believe it? Although there's a slight chance, it's not very likely. There's no need to think too much about it. He Ping was not angry. They were just having an ordinary discussion. The most important thing now was to enter the Saint Ruins. It seems that the senior who took Fang Yu away probably also discovered this place. We were one step ahead of Fang Yu. TSK. Kager was a little happy. Speaking of which, Fang Yu didn't have to go with them at that time. If he didn't go, let's not talk about what terrifying things the other party might do. After all, it's too difficult for a martial king to deal with some unarmed juniors. Besides, if Fang Yu didn't go, how could we search for other clues? Everything was just a coincidence. Feng Yaoguang shook her head and said, "Moreover, Fang Yu isn't a fool. Since he went, he won't be at a disadvantage. We don't need to worry about him." Yeah. Everyone nodded in understanding. Let's look around and see if there are any other entrances. Although the Shadow Turtle King has probably searched once, we still have to do our best. Otherwise, it would be too boring to directly return from where we came from. Lu Shenzhan suggested. Alright. No one objected. Fang Yu wasn't there, so Lu Shuzhan was the captain. When Fang Yu was around, if his ideas were too deviant, then Lu Shuzhan would still be their captain. Fang Yu? Just treat it as air. I agree to let you join my plan. After much hesitation, Potion Maniac decided to let Fang Yu join. First of all, he and Fang Yu had agreed on the conditions. Since Fang Yu had agreed, naturally, he would be allowed to join. Secondly, Fang Yu's alchemy foundation was not very good, but his ability was not low. He should be able to provide some help. Alright, thank you, Senior. Fang Yu expressed his gratitude. There was no doubt that Potion Maniac felt some pressure to complete the improvement plan alone. However, now that he had Fang Yu as a helper and Long Tianxian as half a helper, everything should be smooth sailing. After all, he had worked hard for many years. With the foundation of previous failures, it was understandable for him to succeed in the end, right? I want to talk about some key points. Potion Maniac cleared his throat and seriously talked about some things to pay attention to. Fang Yu listened seriously. When he really wanted to do something, he was still very focused. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had such achievements. Moreover, Fang Yu's ability to understand was different from ordinary people. He quickly understood Potion Maniac's plan. Alright, we'll do as you say, Senior. Fang Yu agreed without hesitation. Fang Yu, I have one last thing to mention, Potion Maniac said seriously. I admit that I was too ambitious on the extreme vitality pill, causing a mistake. However, expanding the alchemy path to benefit everyone in the world will never be wrong. This, Fang Yu was dumbfounded. Why did Potion Maniac suddenly talk about these things? What was he trying to do? Hey, don't tell me you didn't see it? Long Tianxian had a strange look in his eyes. See what? Fang Yu was puzzled. You worked with him to improve a kind of alchemy recipe that has never really been successful. This means that you have some master-disciple relationship. Even if it's not official, you can be regarded as half a disciple in name. Therefore, he wants to tell you his philosophy. If it weren't for your superb alchemy technique, I'm afraid he would have imparted his alchemy technique to you. Although it's not the final version and hasn't been fully matured, it's still something that can only be found by chance for those who have just become alchemists. Because this is a real family property. Long Tianxian clicked his tongue. This old man has taken a liking to you. Fang Yu felt a chill run down his spine when he heard Long Tianxian's words. What the F***ck? Why do you make it sound so weird? I'm telling the truth. You think it's weird because you're overthinking it. Long Tianxian replied helplessly. Okay, I know. But I also want to say that my ambition is martial arts. Alchemy can't be ranked first. Fang Yu said seriously to Potion Maniac. Yes, alchemy couldn't let Fang Yu go back to the profound sky world for revenge, but martial arts could. Therefore, martial arts would always be ranked first. Alchemy might not even be ranked second. Fang Yu couldn't guarantee its ranking. It doesn't matter. Martial arts is always respected in this world. Without enough strength, it's also difficult to study more profound alchemy. You can focus on martial arts and alchemy as a supplement. Potion Maniac waved his hand to show that he understood. Then let's talk about the first step of improving the alchemy recipe. After a pause, Potion Maniac said, "What do you think the first step should be?" It should be, if the king of the blue spider lilies is added, what effect will it have on the extreme yuan pill as a whole? If it has an effect, should it be eliminated or should it be allowed to happen naturally? Fang Yu thought for a while and said, "These were some of the concepts and theories that came with the refined character formula." When Fang Yu obtained the refined character formula, he also learned the entire process of its birth. All kinds of alchemy knowledge, weapon refining techniques, and treasure refining techniques intertwined and finally gave birth to the refined character formula. The word refine could refine anything and everything. It could be said to be extremely domineering. Fang Yu also wanted to try if the refined character formula that he created with the knowledge he obtained could solve the hidden dangers of the extreme yuan pill. Chapter 381. The general direction is good. Alchemy Maniac nodded. He knew very well that Fang Yu was different from him. He had spent a lot of effort to improve the extreme yuan pill. Alchemy Maniac had tried a lot of mistakes and failures. It was not easy for Fang Yu to think so much from the first step. But now, I'm probably at this step, Alchemy Maniac explained seriously to Fang Yu about the improvement plan of the extreme yuan pill. After a while, Fang Yu suddenly understood. Although his foundation in the Tao of alchemy wasn't strong, Alchemy Maniac could be said to be a monster in this aspect. Even the most complicated things would become simple under his narration. It could be said that he was able to explain the profound in simple terms. I see. Although Alchemy Maniac took a detour, you have vaguely pushed in the right direction. Decades of effort is not completely useless. Fang Yu nodded repeatedly. Haha, it's just luck. In fact, there are several theories in the research of the predecessors. I almost experimented to the end before I chose the right path. My luck is really, Alchemy Maniac smiled bitterly. You can't blame Alchemy Maniac. Fang Yu shook his head. This kind of thing has some element of luck. Who dares to say that they will definitely choose the right one? So, I can only say that it's fate. If you can complete the extreme yuan pill today, Alchemy Maniac can still leave a place in the history of alchemy. That's reasonable. Fang Yu's words more or less made Alchemy Maniac more confident. Well, let's start now. Alchemy Maniac said seriously. Yes, Alchemy Maniac. Fang Yu raised his spirits. Let's deal with these basic things first. Alchemy Maniac intended to guide Fang Yu. He could tell that Fang Yu was definitely not a complete novice when it came to alchemy. A pure alchemist would not be able to refine something with pill veins. However, Fang Yu's basic skills were really rough. Even during the alchemy process, he could not bear to look directly at it. However, Fang Yu's alchemy skills were awesome, and he managed to refine a rejuvenation pill with pill veins. It was no less than forging a semi-divine weapon with a piece of ordinary material. Therefore, Alchemy Maniac had a whole new level of respect for Fang Yu. What's more, since he intended to cooperate with Fang Yu, he had some master-disciple relationship with him. He was probably half a disciple in name. Although Fang Yu wasn't even a registered disciple, if others knew about the relationship between him and Fang Yu, the mad potion, he would lose all his face. He also wanted to save face, okay? Fang Yu also understood Potion Maniac's intention. If Potion Maniac was willing to teach, he was willing to learn. After all, it was something that was convenient for him. With Potion Maniac's deliberate guidance and explanation, Fang Yu picked it up very quickly. The alchemy maniac was moved. You, potion maniac, wanted to say something but hesitated. In fact, when Potion Maniac was young, as a genius in alchemy, he had seen many talented alchemists. Many of them had ordinary basic skills, but they changed their alchemy skills. This kind of situation was actually not that serious. At most, he could recruit some apprentices to help him. He originally thought that Fang Yu was probably the same type of alchemist. Little did he know that after teaching him, Potion Maniac realized that Fang Yu was simply a genius in alchemy. No, he's not inferior to me in the past, Potion Maniac exclaimed. At the same time, Potion Maniac was a little conflicted. Initially, he thought that Fang Yu had some talent in alchemy and was fated to be with him, so it was fine to treat him as half a disciple in name. However, Fang Yu's talent in alchemy was not inferior to his. Should he let Fang Yu go just like that? What a pity! One should know that an alchemist's life usually had two pursuits. First, to go further and further on the path of alchemy. The second was to find a successor so that he could leave behind something for the future of the Tao of alchemy after he passed away. It was a bit of light. Potion Maniac had wasted half of his life and a lot of time. However, his talent in alchemy had always been terrifying. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of years had passed. In addition to improving the Supreme Vitality Pill, he had unknowingly gone further and further on the path of alchemy. Admittedly, he had not touched the threshold of a Grandmaster yet. He could not even be considered a half-step Grandmaster. However, as long as Potion Maniac left the Azure Dragon Mirror and stopped cultivating behind closed doors, not to mention the threshold of a Grandmaster, even his cultivation would improve. He was now a peak martial king. However, he was obsessed with alchemy and had no time to break through. Otherwise, he would also be a high-level martial emperor. A high-level martial emperor and half-step Grandmaster. It was not wrong to accept Fang Yu as his disciple. Fang Yu, are you interested in becoming my disciple? Potion Maniac took a deep breath and said seriously. Fang Yu was caught off guard by the question and was a little confused. What happened to alchemy? Why did he suddenly want to be my disciple? You don't have to make a decision in a hurry. It won't be too late to talk about it after the Supreme Vitality Pill is completed. Potion Maniac did not force Fang Yu to give an answer now. He had enough patience. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed in the Azure Dragon Mirror to study for over 100 years. Moreover, he also believed that the reason why Fang Yu didn't immediately agree to his request was because Fang Yu had never seen his alchemy skills. If he showed his skills, Fang Yu would probably kneel down and become his disciple. Looking at the smile on Potion Maniac's face, Fang Yu felt a chill. He felt that Potion Maniac was thinking about something whimsical related to him. Potion Maniac did not think too much about what Fang Yu was thinking. Since he had decided to show his skills, he would not hide it. Therefore, Potion Maniac took a deep breath and began to mix the herbs that they had just sorted out. In fact, this step was not necessarily necessary when refining pills. This was because refining pills was not limited to 1 or 2 pills. As long as one was skilled enough, it would not be strange to refine hundreds of pills in one furnace. For example, Potion Maniac could easily make hundreds of rejuvenation pills if he did not pursue extreme details. For a master-level person, wasn't a mere rejuvenation pill something that could be easily obtained? It was because of this that Potion Maniac had the idea of refining rejuvenation pills when he saw Fang Yu choose rejuvenation pills. However, since he wanted to impress a little genius in alchemy, Potion Maniac naturally had to show some of his sincerity. On the other side, Lu Xinjian and the others, who had been searching around, gathered again. Did you find anything? No. Me neither. I found a little trace. As soon as this was said, everyone could not help but look over. Chapter 382. The person who spoke was the usually quiet Lu Tianbing. What traces? Everyone was very concerned. Wasn't the reason why they searched the area first to get some clues? Unfortunately, all of them returned empty-handed and without any achievement. Now that Lu Tianbing had a clue, how could they not be concerned? Actually, I'm not too sure if it's about the saint relic, Lu Tianbing said hesitantly. Brother, just say it, Lu Xinjian said. She knew that Lu Tianbing did not want to say too much. Wouldn't it be awkward if he said something wrong? However, Lu Xinjian knew these people's temperament. Having a clue was better than nothing. I found some traces of living beings nearby. Judging from the traces, they've been here recently. They're just looking from afar and haven't really come close. Lu Tianbing continued. I tried to follow them, but I didn't get too close either. I found a huge black shadow just like our door. Lu Tianbing looked at the huge door in front of him. Huge door? Another entrance? Everyone was shocked. Logically speaking, shouldn't there be only one entrance to the so-called saint relic? After all, they had landed here out of nowhere. Now that there were two entrances, what was going on? Maybe the situation is more complicated than we thought. Mo Ling pondered for a while and said, maybe there's more than one entrance. Why do you say that? Lu Xinjian asked curiously. Because the saint relic is more or less the palace or mausoleum of this saint. However, no matter how good the palace or mausoleum is, there are many small details that need to be paid attention to. This is the so-called feng shui. We're all martial artists and cultivators, so we should know that feng shui is not a joke. It's real. Mo Ling said slowly. Yes. Everyone nodded. Although it was not clear, some forces would consider feng shui when choosing a location to coordinate with formations and so on. It was not impossible to start from feng shui. After all, feng shui was just a theory. It was a real factor. Even if martial artists did not understand it, they would have heard of it. Since that was the case, there should be related theories in other worlds. The reason why they did not think of this immediately was related to the incomplete remains that had landed in the past. When they descended, they were all incomplete. Naturally, the so-called formations and the like no longer existed. However, there might be an exception this time. This time, the saint ruins might have descended completely. In that case, it was not strange that the array formation was still there. Thinking of this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. The reason was very simple. A complete saint ruins had a huge amount of resources inside. It was impossible for the few of them to consume it all. It's impossible for us to eat them all. First of all, we don't have the appetite to do so. Secondly, if we do that, we'll become the enemy of the entire world, Lu Xinjian said seriously. This time, there were thousands of martial artists participating in the semifinals. Even if they were at the top of the leaderboard, it was impossible for them to fight against 100 people, right? This was a very dangerous method. I'll contact Mayan. I'll inform Lai Ju. Kager and Bai Wuxie immediately sprang into action. Keep the goodies within the family. Of course, such a good thing would benefit his own people first. This was also what Lu Xinjian wanted to see. This was because Mayan and Lai Qing had already made their cooperation clear. However, after they arrived, they would have to rely on their own abilities to split the spoils. Subsequently, after careful investigation, more faces of the saint ruins surfaced. 4 doors. There are 4 entrances. One of the seals is not stable, and there is energy leaking out from it. I'm afraid it came out from this entrance. Mo Ling muttered to himself. As for why it came to this place, I'm afraid it's possible to enter this place? Although there is energy leaking out from the door, the energy is too strong. If we attack it directly, we'll have to go against the array formation of the entire Saint Ruins. This is too unrealistic. Saint Ruins. Even if a true martial sage came, they would not be able to barge in. unless they had the talent of two martial sages or were peak martial sages. Lai Ju and the others replied. Bai Wuxia suddenly said. She said that she and Mayan split up and came here. If they came here directly, it would be too obvious. That's right. Mayan came one step later than Lai Ju. Everyone knows that Mayan is the captain. If Mayan just disappeared, it would be too eye-catching. As for Lai Ju, she has a jumpy personality. Many times, she doesn't necessarily move with the team. It's hard for others to guess that she came here. Kugu also read Mei An's reply. For example, during the auction, Lai Ju and Bai Wuxia were in the same room. Mayan was in the same room with his other companions. At first glance, it looked like they were in two different groups. Therefore, Lai Ju came first and could really hide it from everyone. Next, we just have to wait for Fang Yu to come back. After everything was arranged, Lu Xuanzhan sighed softly and said. At the same time, Fang Yu and Potion Maniac's improved pill formula was also progressing well. Increase the flame. Add in the heart-tempering grass. Choose the first ratio. Why are you fine? Potion Maniac was very serious. He could not tolerate the slightest mistake. Although the improvement of the pill formula was at the last step and they would definitely get a result this time, the more crucial the moment was, the more important the details were. Potion Maniac, who originally wanted to show off his skills to intimidate Fang Yu, also could not help but enter the refining state. His requirements for Fang Yu were much stricter. Little did he know that Fang Yu was indeed worthy of his recognition as the little monster of medicine. Some operations that did not seem feasible, Fang Yu just had to turn something rotten into something magical. If Potion Maniac had not repeatedly confirmed that Fang Yu's foundation was really poor and was completely at the level of a layman, he would have really thought that this kid was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger and deliberately attracted his attention. The first stage is basically completed. After eliminating a few plans, there are only 3 plans left. I believe that in the second stage, we can completely eliminate the wrong options, and then the real pill will be formed. Potion Maniac said seriously. Yes, the plan was correct, but it was still a failure if it could not be refined into a pill. Because there was no finished pill, just saying that he was right did not mean that he was right. The world of medicine was not so simple. Fang Yu looked constipated and puzzled. It was all because he remembered that the super slaughter system had said that Fang Yu's talent in refining was several times stronger than his talent in saber art. According to the current situation, it was not only refining weapons, refining medicine, and so on. His talent was also terrifyingly high. It was far from being comparable to saber art. It's really hard to choose whether to be the god of refining weapons, the god of refining medicine, or the god of saber arts. Fang Yu sighed. Chapter 383. Why are you in a daze? Potion Maniac could not help but scold him. It was a critical moment and he could not afford to be distracted. If it was an ordinary alchemy, with Alchemy Maniac's ability, even if Fang Yu was distracted, he wouldn't be able to say anything. Alchemy Maniac alone was enough to turn the tide. However, Potion Maniac believed that he could not let his guard down for an elixir that had not been successfully refined before, especially an elixir of such a high grade like the Ultimate Vitality elixir. You should have been more focused just now. Potion Maniac did not forget to warn Fang Yu. He really did have the intention to recruit Fang Yu as his disciple, so everything he did was treated with high standards and high standard. Fang Yu did not mind. Anyway, he had to participate in the refinement of elixirs. He would not lose out if he could learn more. Back then, Fang Yu had started out as a nobody in the profound sky world. However, his eventual rise was related to this. Unfortunately, Fang Yu lost his way and ended up like this. At that time, he was furious. Later on, he felt that he had brought this upon himself. If he had listened to Potion Maniac's advice and participated in the war with Zhou Shirshir, he would not have ended up like this. However, I also lost the opportunity to roam the myriad spirit continent. Who can say for sure whether I gained or lost? Fang Yu sighed. That's right. Compared to the Tianxian world, the myriad spirit continent was a vast ocean. Here, Fang Yu had become stronger than ever. Indeed, in terms of realm, Wu Ling was not as strong as him in the Tianxian world. The Tianxian world was particular about the stairway to heaven. At that time, Fang Yu was about to step onto the 9th stairway to heaven. In the Tianxian world, there were only 9 people who had reached the 9th stairway to heaven. The 10th person was usually half a step into the 9th stairway to heaven. Fang Yu was one of them. Among the brothers who had plotted against him, there was also such a person. For example, there were usually 5 of the 4 heavenly kings. The top 10 experts, especially the 10th, should have 10 to 20 of them. Fang Yu was one of the brighter stars and was more eye-catching. In Fang Yu's opinion, the 9th step of the celestial stairway was equivalent to the martial sage of the myriad spirit continent. They were a rather strong type of martial sage. However, they were not as strong as peak martial sages or people with dual martial sage talent. Fang Yu was fortunate enough to have seen the 9th rank before. The 9th rank of the celestial stairway truly lived up to its name. Based on the feeling he got from the Huoda martial sage in the myriad spirit continent, he could roughly confirm that the 9th rank of the celestial stairway was definitely stronger than the Huoda martial sage. However, the weakest person on the 9th step of the heavenly stairway was obviously inferior to a peerless martial sage. Fang Meng, wait for me. Fang Yu, will definitely go back. Fang Yu's eyes shone brightly as he swore to himself. Profound sky world, Fang Meng. After the rise of the 4 heavenly gates, the actual territory of the Fang Alliance was only 20% or 30% of its original territory. This was Zhou Shirshir's decision. Previously, when she and Fang Yu had fought their way out of this area, she had reminded Fang Yu to leave a way out and to be cautious. Although Fang Yu was careless and disdainful, he still cooperated with Zhou Shirshir to strengthen the territory that they had initially conquered. It was like an iron bucket, impenetrable by water. Because of this, in order to allow most of their men to retreat, they gave up their previous territory and fought as they retreated. Feng Qiutong and the rest saw through Zhou Shirshir's intentions, but they were helpless. This was an open conspiracy. Zhou Shirshir was just short of directly saying that she did not want the territory and would give it to them. The 4 heavenly gates that they had established also needed to strengthen their own foundation. Therefore, when Zhou Shirshir and Fang Meng retreated, they accepted all the city-states that they had left behind. They would rather let some of the Fang Alliance's men go and digest them as soon as possible. When they realized that Zhou Shirshir had left a trick up her sleeve, Zhou Shirshir and Fang Meng had already entered the final defensive zone. They tried to attack forcefully but failed. They failed directly. Zhou Shirshir looked at the flowers outside the window and sighed. Ever since Feng Qiutong realized that she could not do anything to Fang Meng in a short period of time, the 4 heavenly gates restrained their attacks and wanted to fight for a long period of time. Zhou Shirshir also prepared her men and was ready to go. However, Fang Yu was not around and something was still missing. Zhou Shirshir was a woman and she was still a virgin. Although she claimed to be Fang Yu's widow in name, everyone knew whether she was or not. There were even some powers that joined later on who had some thoughts about her that they should not have. However, the current Fang Alliance was still Fang Yu's Fang Alliance and Zhou Shirshir's Fang Alliance. There would not be any big problems for the time being. However, it was hard to say what would happen in the future. Thinking about this, Zhou Shirshir opened up a piece of paper. This was when she had just followed Fang Yu and won a huge battle. Fang Yu said that he wanted to reward her and she suggested that Fang Yu go sightseeing with her. Fang Yu agreed readily. There was an old temple on the mountain. No one knew how long it had been around. Even the history of the town at the foot of the mountain was not as long as the old temple. In the old temple, there was a place that was specially used to explain the signs. It was very effective. She remembered that the master looked at her with a strange expression and then looked at Feng Yu. He sighed and told her that she would lose Feng Yu. Zhou Shishir was instantly furious and almost overturned the master's stall. Everyone knew that asking for a sign was for a good omen and for peace of mind. This so-called master actually said that Feng Yu, whom she liked, would die. How could she tolerate this? However, before the master was beaten up, he said that she would lose Feng Yu in order to get a better one. This stunned Zhou Shishir. Did that mean that she would get a better Feng Yu? However, how could a dead person be resurrected? Even if there was reincarnation after being resurrected, Feng Yu would be younger than her by 20 to 30 years? How could this be? Thinking of this, Zhou Shishir suddenly realized something and smiled bitterly. If she could really meet Feng Yu again, even if she was older than him, so what? She was most afraid that they would not be able to meet again. At the same time, Feng Yu, who was with Potion Maniac, suddenly changed his expression. It was all because they had overcome all difficulties and finally reached the final step when an unforeseen event occurred. It seems to be a vortex of spiritual power? Is there going to be a thunder tribulation? Feng Yu said to himself, but elixirs are just refining elixirs. Will there really be a thunder tribulation? It can't be. Why not? Potion Maniac blew his beard and stared at him. Powerful martial artists need to pass the thunder tribulation, so do powerful elixirs. Only the elixirs that successfully pass the thunder tribulation can reach a higher quality. Do you think the first layer of elixir patterns is the limit? No. There are still second and third layers of elixir patterns. Potion Maniac looked fanatical, as if he was looking at a rare treasure. Hearing this, Feng Yu's expression changed. Long Tianxian, do you think the thunder curse will? Yes. Long Tianxian answered decisively. Chapter 384. Upon hearing this, Feng Yu's face darkened. That's right, the lightning curse would make the lightning tribulation more powerful. Sometimes it would become a lightning punishment. The lightning tribulation was mostly a test. Lightning punishment, just like its name, was a punishment. It was very difficult to pass it. Senior Alchemy Maniac, I don't know if I should tell you something. Feng Yu braced himself and said. Say it. Alchemy Maniac was a man of few words. He was concentrating on observing the changes of the elixir. Here's the thing. I once got a curse that could increase the power of the lightning tribulation and even double it, Feng Yu said awkwardly. He knew that Alchemy Maniac's dream was to improve the Extreme Yuan elixir. He wanted to create the Extreme Yuan elixir. Now that he had gone through so many hardships, he was at the last step. If all his efforts were to go to waste, Feng Yu did not dare to imagine what the outcome would be. What? Is there such a thing? Alchemy Maniac was slightly stunned. Just when Feng Yu thought that he was going to be disappointed, Alchemy Maniac laughed wildly. Ha 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 ha. God is helping me. It seems that I can refine the perfect Extreme Yuan elixir. This. Senior Alchemy Maniac, what do you mean? Feng Yu did not understand. Could it be that Alchemy Maniac had gone crazy? You don't understand, you don't understand. Alchemy Maniac burst into tears. To complete the perfect Extreme Yuan elixir, you need to meet a condition. The lightning tribulation must be strong enough. But think about it, I am only a martial king. How can I make the lightning tribulation stronger? Now, there is hope for the perfect Extreme Yuan elixir. This, Feng Yu did not know what to say. Is there such a roundabout way? The lightning tribulation is a test. The stronger the test, the greater the reward. In fact, even the lightning tribulation is good. As long as you get through it, there will be many benefits. Alchemy Maniac explained. Fang Yu nodded slightly. He was stronger because he got through the lightning tribulation. Even though he was only a 4-star martial spirit, in reality, Fang Yu's combat strength was comparable to a 6-star martial spirit. Of course, this was a 6-star martial spirit whose talent was inferior to his. If it was some genius with extraordinary talent, they would probably only be able to surpass him by 1 level. This made Fang Yu sigh with emotion. The further one went on the path of cultivation, the greater the gap between them. It was not an exaggeration to say that a star was a world apart. Boom! At this moment, the lightning tribulation descended. Fang Yu was a little apprehensive. He didn't know if the lightning tribulation had anything to do with the guy he had offended before. Fang Yu did not know if the other party still had more tricks up his sleeves, based on the vicious words the other party had left behind and the lightning curse. If he did, then it would be troublesome. There shouldn't be any more tricks up his sleeves. Long Tianxian seemed to have thought of Fang Yu's worries and said, even if she was the number 1 figure in the great world of thunder. No, that's impossible. If she was the number 1 figure, how could she be killed by you? Absolutely not. I think she has her enemies. She has been hurt so much that it would be difficult for her to escape unscathed. Even if she wanted to take revenge on you, she wouldn't have the time to do so. Fang Yu nodded slightly and felt that it made sense. Even if it was a more powerful figure, such as a martial emperor, there would still be martial emperor-level opponents. It was impossible for them to be truly free and unfettered. However, the other party's hatred for you is very strong. I think you will meet sooner or later and have a battle. Long Tianxian was worried. It doesn't matter. If she really comes, I will kill her again. Even if she doesn't come, when I ascend to the great world of thunder one day, I will still settle the score with her. Disciple of the thunder god, right? I will remember it, Fang Yu said with a murderous look. At that time, if it wasn't for their means to catch the other party off guard, they would probably have died. From this, it could be seen that the great world of thunder was really terrifying. However, they also had their own cultural confidence. The Soul Book came from the hands of a peerless expert in the Wanling continent. It was probably something created by a divine realm expert. Many people didn't know its true value. Of course, the Soul Book was already scattered, and it was impossible to understand it even if they wanted to. This was one of the reasons. Boom! 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 The thunder calamity fell like rain, making people's hearts palpitate. Even Fang Yu wasn't sure if he could pass the thunder calamity successfully. You said that Lai Cheng is missing? The woman with the surname Jiang received the news and narrowed her eyes. Lai Cheng was definitely the person they paid attention to. Lai Di's granddaughter. Lai Di had a very high opinion of Lai Cheng. At least, very few people knew about it and didn't spread it to the public. Lai Cheng's talent is not inferior to mine. This was Lai Di's personal evaluation. At that time, only 2 or 3 people, including Lai Cheng, didn't want to spread it. However, it was still known by others. They were one of them. Therefore, they were very wary of Lai Cheng. If Lai Cheng's talent was not inferior to Lai Di's, wouldn't he be a young Lai Di? What was a young Lai Di like? He was invincible in the world. No one was a match for Lai Di. Lai Di had killed all the enemies in the world. They weren't Lai Cheng, nor were they as good as the young Lai Di. Naturally, they were extremely cautious of Lai Cheng. Even if Lai Cheng hadn't really made a move yet. However, a girl who could be evaluated by Lai Di like this was definitely extraordinary. She won't go to Blue Moon Valley, so she came here? The woman with the surname Jiang rolled her eyes and said, "Go and summon our people who are lurking nearby." The female warrior who acted as a maid hesitated. Although they were all allies, they were all in a cooperative relationship. However, It wasn't good to summon other people over for no reason. It was against the rules. Just say that the saint's relic has been found. Although there are many good things and inheritances here, what can compare to the saint's relic? If Lai Ching is coming, it means that the saint's relic that fell out of nowhere this time is very complete. Fang Yu and the others can't take it all, so they gave it to Lai Ching and the others. Since that's the case, we naturally have to bring people to make a fortune. The woman with the surname Jiang said with a smile. Lai Ching is coming? Okay. The female warrior hurriedly went to do it and summoned the members of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance nearby. Although the Wailing Grotto was a place that many warriors subconsciously avoided, there were still some famous ruins near the Wailing Grotto that had yet to be claimed by anyone. As long as the news spread, she believed that they would all flock there. As for what to do after they came, this was not something that a maid like her needed to worry about. Right. Just as the female warrior was about to leave, the woman with the surname Jiang stopped her. Find a way to contact Zhumu and the others. I think they'll be very interested in revenge for Fang Yu. Yes, miss. After responding, the female warrior hurriedly went to do it. There were many members of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. Someone should be able to contact Zhumu and the others. Chapter 385. Huff, Zhumu and the others were hibernating to recover from their injuries. The injuries from the night of the tribulation were too serious. They spent a lot of treasures, but they couldn't recover in a short time. They hated it. They went to battle on behalf of the young master, but in the end, they suffered such a big setback. Unforgivable. Fang Yu, absolutely unforgivable. Luo Lan was burning with anger. After a few days, Zhumu finally managed to recover his energy. This was just them. If it wasn't for them, wouldn't he be dead or disabled? Indeed, Zhumu was the legitimate son, but he wasn't the only son. In addition to Zhumu, the Zhou family still had several outstanding sons. It was just that Zhumu was the most outstanding. However, if Zhumu was disabled, there would definitely be a second person to replace him. At that time, perhaps Luo Lan would marry this person. After all, most of the marriages between them were political marriages, not true love. She and Zhumu had nurtured their feelings for many years before they reached this point. She couldn't give up Zhumu and change to another person. However, her family wouldn't allow her to be with a disabled person. Fang Yu, I will definitely make you pay for this. Zhumu gritted his teeth. Are you Zhumu's group? Suddenly, someone asked from afar. Luo Lan and the others were puzzled. It wasn't a big secret that they were recovering here. Because several days had passed and they hadn't finished healing, it wasn't difficult to guess who was here. However, there weren't many who directly came to find them. Or rather, no one. Zhumu and the others were skinny camels, but they were still bigger than horses. Who would be so blind to provoke them? Wasn't this asking for trouble? We are from the Cleaving Sky Alliance. The people outside continued to say. Cleaving Sky Alliance? Why are you targeting me, Zhumu? As the saying goes, a tiger will be bullied by dogs. I, Zhumu, will be bullied like this one day? Zhumu sneered. He was actually very angry. These people all regarded him as a soft persimmon, and everyone came to trample on him. This made him very uncomfortable. He couldn't wait to fight with Fang Yu now and get justice for himself. However, although Zhumu was angry, he wasn't an idiot. He had played all his cards that night, but he still lost to Fang Yu. It could only be said that he was no match for Fang Yu now. There was nothing they could do even if they were unconvinced. They couldn't beat him, so what else could they say? However, there was still more than half of the second round, so they still had a chance. The venue of the semifinals was a place to nurture experts. He, Zhumu, firmly believed that he wasn't weaker than Fang Yu. No. I came here on the orders of the higher-ups. The people of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance quickly distanced themselves from the matter. Although he was a member of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance, he was far from some of the main combat forces. He could not be lumped together. What if he had to fight against Zhumu and the others? Wasn't that the same as sending himself to his death? Therefore, it was better to explain clearly so that he wouldn't be hammered. Oh? No. Then why did your superiors send you here? Zhumu asked in confusion. Zhumu remembered that he had no relationship with the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance. The Heaven-Cleaving Alliance's meaning was to kill the gods' favored ones. Zhumu was a member of the gods' favored ones. It was impossible for them to kill him as well, right? Therefore, it wasn't strange that they didn't interact with each other. Now that the other party's boss had found him, what was he up to? We have news of Feng Yu. The people of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance said seriously. News of Feng Yu. Haha, is this news? Feng Yu and the others went to the Wailing Grotto, right? This isn't news at all. Zhumu shook his head. The direction of the Wailing Grotto was different from the other routes. Anyone with a discerning eye could see the destination of Feng Yu and the others at a glance. However, there was a demon king in the Wailing Grotto, and there was more than one. If they rashly went there, they would be courting death. In summary, it wasn't news that Feng Yu and the others went to the Wailing Grotto. And so what if they knew? If they went there now, they would be looking for trouble. Not to mention, Zhuumu's life-saving trump card was gone. In the next life and death battle, he would probably be directly eliminated and disqualified. This was not the result that Zhuumu wanted to see. He could only endure it. The Saint Relic is in the Wailing Grotto. All the forces are rushing there. There's a chance to make Feng Yu suffer a great loss. The people of the Heaven-Cleaving Alliance sent the message that the higher-ups wanted to convey in a concise and easy-to-understand manner. Sure enough, Zhumu and the others' eyes lit up. This was an opportunity. A chance to fight back. Okay, we'll go. Feng Yu, just you wait. Zhumu gave an affirmative reply. He couldn't beat Feng Yu one-on-one, but two fists couldn't beat four hands. He didn't believe that Feng Yu could be invincible under their siege. Boom! 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 The lightning tribulation continued to fall, getting stronger and stronger. Even Potion Maniac couldn't bear it. Senior Potion Maniac, Feng Yu's face changed. If this continued, Potion Maniac's life would be in danger. It's okay. I still have a backup plan. Potion Maniac took a deep breath and said, I didn't want to use it so soon, but for the perfect extreme vitality pill, there's no other way. After saying that, Potion Maniac took out an item. It was a small flower that was a little shriveled. There's thunder pattern on it? Feng Yu recognized the thunder pattern on the small flower. Yes, this is the Thunder God flower. I found a strange flower in a very dilapidated cave mansion. You should know that some medicinal herbs originally came from beyond the heavens, right? Thunder God flower is one of them. I didn't give this name randomly. When I got it, the jade bottle that contained it had the word Thunder God flower written in ancient Sanskrit. I don't know how to operate it, but it should be close. After saying that, Potion Maniac used the Thunder God flower to face the lightning tribulation. Little did he know that the lightning tribulation fell on the Thunder God flower as if charging it. The flower quickly regained its vitality. The lightning tribulation above was still pouring down, but it was all absorbed by the Thunder God flower. Soon, the lightning tribulation was almost over, and the Thunder God flower was shining brightly. So magical! Feng Yu was stunned. Wasn't this a tribulation transcending divine artifact? Don't underestimate it or think of using it to do strange things, Potion Maniac reminded Feng Yu, because it was placed in the highest alert position where I got it. The highest alert position? That doesn't mean it's very powerful. Feng Yu frowned. No, it's different. I saw the same kind of plants near it. They are all aggressive plants, and it should be no exception. Potion Maniac kept the Thunder God flower and said, Chapter 386. At this moment, something strange happened. The Thunder God's flower that was about to be put away suddenly released rolling thunder and lightning. Under the bombardment of thunder and lightning, Potion Maniac's blood chi quickly dried up. It was too powerful. Even a martial king like Potion Maniac could not withstand such close-range thunder and lightning. Buzz, then, the Thunder God's flower changed. It grew a human face. A human face. Fang Yu was shocked. What is this? It grew a human face. It was a little girl's face. It looked delicate and cute, no different from a porcelain doll. However, Fang Yu felt a terrible threat. Throw away the Thunder God's flower. Fang Yu quickly reminded Potion Maniac. Perhaps it was because the onlookers saw more clearly than the onlookers. Up until now, Potion Maniac was still holding onto the Thunder God's flower tightly. Potion Maniac was shocked and quickly threw away the Thunder God's flower. Sure enough, as soon as Potion Maniac threw away the Thunder God's flower, the thunder and lightning of the flower immediately disappeared. The face unwillingly withdrew and disappeared. Phew! Fang Yu and Potion Maniac heaved a sigh of relief. No wonder the Thunder God's flower required the highest vigilance. Even a martial king like Potion Maniac would die if he was caught off guard. Moreover, Fang Yu felt that when the face appeared, the Thunder God's flower became more active. It was not hard to imagine that if this continued, the thunder and lightning would only become stronger. It would not be strange if Potion Maniac died. Cough, cough. Potion Maniac was greatly injured and coughed violently. Senior Potion Maniac. Fang Yu wanted to help but was stopped by Potion Maniac. Don't come, don't worry about me. Potion Maniac roared. Senior? Fang Yu was confused and puzzled. Fang Yu, you refine it. There is only one step left for the ultimate energy pill. You finish it. Potion Maniac shouted. I can't recover now. You do it. Otherwise, it will fail. This is a rare opportunity. I want the perfect ultimate energy pill. I want to prove that I am right this time. Cough, cough. Senior Medicine Maniac. Fang Yu was stunned. He was dumbstruck. What happened to being an assistant? Not only did she attempt to have a master-disciple relationship with him, she even wanted him to do the final step of refining the medicine? It can't be. I'm serious. I won't be able to make it in time. However, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I can't miss it. Come. Potion Maniac said word by word. If I miss this opportunity, if I fail, I won't forgive myself even if I die. So, come on, Fang Yu. Fang Yu scratched his head. This question was a bit out of his scope. When he first started refining medicine, he was still a novice with a very poor foundation. He assisted while being taught by others. Now, at the last step, Fang Yu suddenly became the person who completed it. Meow meow meow. Was there really no mistake? Fang Yu, go and help him look after the medicinal cauldron. Long Tianxian reminded Fang Yu. If he continued to be in a daze, he was afraid that there was no need to refine the medicine inside. It would be wasted. Fang Yu had no choice but to go and look after the medicine refinement. It's fine for now. But do I really have to refine the medicine? Although I have completed the rejuvenation pill, you should know that it was an accident. Fang Yu said helplessly. Give it a try. You will have a chance. Long Tianxian pondered for a while and said, Moreover, if you don't complete the extreme Yuan pill, how are you going to meet up with the others? That's true. Let me take a look first. Fang Yu reluctantly took over. As the saying went, professional things should be done by professionals. Today was his first time refining medicine. He did not expect to make the leap from the rejuvenation pill to the extreme Yuan pill. Tell me about the current situation of the medicine refinement, Potion Maniac said again. His situation is very bad. He can't even use his spiritual sense. Otherwise, he would never let you refine the medicine. Long Tianxian glanced at Potion Maniac and said, That's right. If Potion Maniac could sense the situation in the medicine cauldron, he would not let Fang Yu tell him about the situation inside. Therefore, Potion Maniac's condition was very bad. Its color seems to be a little unstable. It hasn't formed into a pill yet. Fang Yu frowned. In my opinion, it's still trying to fuse together. What's wrong? Potion Maniac asked hurriedly. Its pill veins are changing. I can see that the pill veins were about to appear, but now they are gradually fading. Fang Yu's face darkened. What was going on? It was out of his control. It's over. Its energy is going to go berserk. Potion Maniac's face was ashen. What do you mean? Fang Yu asked Long Tianxian. It means that the energy in the medicine refinement pill has completely stabilized. However, if the energy is unstable, it is impossible to complete the final step of pill refinement. Long Tianxian looked troubled. That's impossible. Even the lightning tribulation of pill refinement. Is there a problem with the lightning tribulation of pill refinement? The lightning tribulation of pill refinement is too powerful. It can't bear it. Although the tribulation was successful, do you think the medicine refinement was successful? The Thunder God Flower cheated. Therefore, there is some backlash. After a pause, Long Tianxian explained. Is there any other way? Fang Yu didn't want to see Potion Maniac's efforts go to waste. There's only one way. Upgrade. Long Tianxian said seriously. What's the upgrade? Fang Yu felt a headache coming on. Why were they all using professional jargon? Couldn't they say something that was common knowledge? Upgrading is to improve its final quality. As you can see, pill veins can appear on it now. It means that the energy it can withstand and contain is the first layer of pill veins. However, this time you used a trick. It's fine if you used a trick, but something happened to Potion Maniac. Otherwise, Potion Maniac should be able to control the situation. The so-called alchemy masters have this ability. That's why they are called alchemy masters. If the first layer of pill veins isn't enough, then the second layer of pill veins. The ability to forcefully raise the first layer of pill veins to the second layer is the upgrade. Long Tianxian said seriously, however, this is very difficult. Even among the alchemy masters, there might not be 1 in 100 who can do it. Only a grandmaster has a higher chance of success. However, we don't have a second way, do we? If we fail, the medicine will be destroyed, and the result will be the same. But if we succeed... Fang Yu's eyes flickered. Senior Potion Maniac, I want to try upgrading. Fang Yu said to Potion Maniac. What? As soon as he said that, Potion Maniac, who had lost all hope, was stunned. Upgrading? Did Fang Yu know what he was talking about? Even Potion Maniac, who boasted of being a monster, had only succeeded in upgrading 3 times in his many years of refining medicine. One had to know that an alchemy master would definitely refine countless medicines. What kind of concept was it to succeed in upgrading 3 times? Chapter 387. Upgrade. This is the only way. Otherwise I'll fail. Fang Yu said decisively. That's right, upgrading was the only way. If he didn't upgrade, he could only watch the extreme vitality pill fail. Compared to failing directly, it was better to struggle and fail. At least, he had tried his best. Give it a try. Alchemy Maniac didn't refuse. As an experienced alchemist, Alchemy Maniac knew what was going on. There was still a chance if he gave it a try. If he didn't, he would fail directly. All right. Fang Yu prepared to upgrade without hesitation. By the way, how do I do it? Fang Yu paused for a moment before continuing. Potion Maniac opened his mouth and let out a helpless smile. He quickly said, upgrading is actually to compress the previous refining process to the extreme in a very short time and directly reintegrate the final energy. There are only two situations that require upgrading. First, in some alchemy competitions, the quality is king. If the opponent's grade is higher than yours, you can only upgrade if you want to win the competition. Second, like what we're doing now, if there's an accident in the refining process, I'm afraid that all your efforts will be in vain. You can only use upgrading to turn the tide. Alchemy Maniac said seriously, however, whether it's the former or the latter, the probability of upgrading is very low. This is because you have to compress the process and reintegrate the energy of the herbs in a very short time. There's a certain chance that you'll attract the second lightning tribulation. No way. Fang Yu's expression changed. The lightning tribulation was very violent under the influence of the lightning curse. If it weren't for the lightning flower, they would have been in serious trouble. Although they were tricked by the lightning flower in the end, the lightning flower did help them avoid the tribulation. Now, they didn't dare to use the lightning flower. If there was another lightning tribulation, we can only go all out. Fang Yu took a deep breath and focused on operating the refined character formula. 1. The refined character formula was very violent. One must know that refining medicine was different from refining weapons. Refining weapons required a lot of tempering. Otherwise, one would not be able to forge a divine weapon. However, refining medicine required a lot of gradual progress. Otherwise, if one's technique was violent, the medicine would be violent as well. Then, the result would be a split. However, Fang Yu was not afraid at all. He went with the flow and refined. It was the word refine. There was no fear at all. Oh! Long Tianxian had been paying attention to Fang Yu's alchemy. She herself did not have much ability to refine medicine. However, that did not stop Long Tianxian from seeing some clues. She thought that if Fang Yu made a mistake, she could help him out a little. Little did she know that Fang Yu didn't make any mistakes at all. His operation was simply perfect. Is this a rise in power? Potion Maniac seemed to have noticed something, and his eyes flickered. That's right. Force existed between the heavens and the earth. The so-called going with the flow was the power that corresponded with the great Tao of the heavens and the earth. This would allow one to be successful in every endeavor. Fang Yu's alchemy actually rose in power. Didn't they say that he's a pure newbie? Fang Yu didn't know what others were thinking as he focused on refining medicine. Each and every one of his actions had a mysterious flavor to them. It's the momentum. Fang Yu can actually sense the momentum and use it for his own use. Long Tianxian's eyes widened. She wasn't sure before, but now that Fang Yu had shown all kinds of performance, she was sure that Fang Yu was really rising in power. Potion Maniac didn't understand Fang Yu's situation. For Fang Yu to rise in power, he could only see the level of refining medicine. However, Long Tianxian could see more. Buzz, suddenly, above the medicine cauldron, there was another spiritual vortex gathering. The lightning tribulation is coming again. Potion Maniac looked solemn. The second lightning tribulation was destined to be much stronger than the first. However, there was also a benefit. If one successfully passed it, the extreme yuan pill would be completed. Let me do it. Long Tianxian said to Fang Yu, I'm now a thunder spirit. I'll use the power of thunder to turn into a thunder dragon. Then why did you just? Fang Yu was a little puzzled. Are you stupid? Long Tianxian rolled her eyes. He was the one refining medicine just now. I have no obligation to help him. But now it's your turn to refine medicine. I can't just stand by and watch. After all, I'm closer to you, Long Tianxian said shyly. Fang Yu was expressionless. He knew that Long Tianxian was a female and liked females. She was deliberately disgusting him. Boom. At this time, thunder fell, and Long Tianxian appeared without hesitation to face the lightning tribulation. Rumble. Thunder fell like rain, and it was stronger than the first time. However, Long Tianxian was already a thunder spirit. She wanted to use the power to turn into a thunder dragon and continue on her dragon cultivation path. If it was any other day, even a thunder spirit would have a hard time facing such a strengthened lightning tribulation. However, this time, Long Tianxian borrowed Fang Yu's power. She was able to absorb all the lightning energy that was pouring down from the sky. Roar! Long Tianxian's dragon body was looming, giving Potion Maniac a fright. This is... Potion Maniac couldn't believe it. Fang Yu has a dragon? No way. Can you do it? Fang Yu asked worriedly. He could feel that the second lightning tribulation was getting stronger and stronger because of the lightning curse. Although Long Tianxian was very powerful, Fang Yu was still a little worried about whether she could withstand it. The results showed that Fang Yu's worries were unnecessary. Long Tianxian was very powerful, more powerful than he had imagined. Roar! A dragon's roar filled the sky as Long Tianxian transformed from a faintly discernible lightning spirit into a lightning dragon. Even though Lei Long was very small and was still a young dragon, he had inherited her original cultivation. Not only that, it had also obtained various benefits from the tribulation. Martial Spirit, Martial Emperor, Peak Martial Emperor. Fang Yu's eyes widened. Long Tianxian was about to become a martial dominator. However, Long Tianxian stopped at that instant. It took me 100 years to recover my cultivation to the martial emperor realm. I've already stabilized it, so there's no need to overcome the tribulation. However, I need to overcome the tribulation to become a martial dominator. It's not the right time for me to do so now. Long Tianxian explained to Fang Yu, I've yet to fully understand the capabilities of a thunder dragon. There's no rush to overcome the tribulation. Besides, I'm afraid I'll be suppressed in the Azure Dragon Mirror. It won't be good if I'm kicked out. I initially said that I'll help you reforge your true body when I'm stronger, but it seems like it's too early. Fang Yu exclaimed. But I can still stay inside the dragon teeth knife and act as its weapon spirit. I can use it as a temporary shelter to make the dragon teeth knife stronger. This place suppresses creatures that are too strong. If it is not necessary, I will not attack directly. Long Tianxian said proudly. Chapter 388. Let's see how the elixir is doing. Fang Yu sensed with his spiritual sense that the elixir energy in the cauldron had stabilized after the tribulation. In other words, the elixir was really formed this time. Quick, take a look. Alchemy Maniac urged. He wanted to see what the elixir looked like after it was formed. All right. Fang Yu did not delay and directly opened the cauldron to retrieve the elixir. Buzz! The moment the cauldron was opened, a ray of light flowed out. Elixir pattern. It's guaranteed to be an elixir with elixir pattern. Alchemy Maniac swallowed a mouthful of saliva nervously. The reason why he had to upgrade the elixir was because the energy was unstable when the elixir was formed. Not to mention the elixir pattern, it was a big problem whether the elixir could be formed. Now that the elixir was guaranteed to be an elixir pattern, Alchemy Maniac was relieved. As for the second layer elixir pattern, it was too difficult. He had forcefully upgraded the elixir pattern several times. He did not dare to think about the second layer elixir pattern. This time was no exception. This is the second layer elixir pattern? Fang Yu took a closer look and was shocked. What? Second layer elixir pattern? Quick, help me to take a look, Alchemy Maniac hurriedly said. He wanted to get up, but unfortunately, he was too weak to move. Fang Yu helped Alchemy Maniac to take a look at the cauldron. The latter was stunned and then burst into tears. Good. It's really the second layer elixir pattern, the second layer elixir pattern, Alchemy Maniac cried. He had never refined a pill with the second layer elixir pattern for half of his life. He did not expect to succeed here by chance. Is this the extreme yuan pill? It's much better than what I thought. Fang Yu clicked his tongue in wonder. The extreme yuan pill was more than twice the size of the rejuvenation pill. There were 2 layers of elixir pattern on the surface, but they seemed to be moving like water. Second layer elixir pattern. This is a very powerful elixir. It can slightly affect spiritual sense. You can't look at it like this. Alchemy Maniac was a good teacher and gave Fang Yu pointers. Fang Yu was suddenly enlightened, and when he looked at it again, it really was different. He could clearly see the extreme yuan pill with 2 pill veins. It seems like the second layer core vein is different from the first layer core vein. Fang Yu discovered the difference between the pills. Yes. In fact, it's not just the difference between the first and second level. Even if it's the same level, there are some differences in the markings on the pill. Some people once said that there are some profound mysteries in the pill markings. If you can understand them, you will be able to grasp the greatest secret of creating pill markings. Potion Maniac said with some yearning. Concocting a pill was only a standard. The higher standard was the appearance of pill veins. Then, its medicinal strength would increase by several times, or even more than 10 times. For example, if a certain pill could increase the chances of breaking through by 5%, then under the effect of the pill marks, it would become 20% or even more. The second level of core veins was on top of this foundation and continued to double. Just think about it, some major breakthroughs had an increase of 40% to 50%. How terrifying was that? However, in comparison, it was even more difficult for this type of pill to form pill veins. The first layer of pill veins was usually the limit. The second layer of pill veins could be said to be rare in the world. The appearance of the third layer of pill veins. There were only a few times since ancient times. However, other than this type of breakthrough pill, the chances of forming pill veins were higher. Even the third layer of pill veins had appeared before. 100 years ago, there was a heart's pill with 3 pill veins that could enhance one's 5 senses. It was obtained by the 3-eyed martial emperor. Therefore, when alchemists discussed this topic, they would subconsciously discuss it separately. It was also because of this that if one could grasp the ultimate secret of pill veins, they would be rich. It is said that there are medicine gods, medicine gods, and pill gods. They are all existences that can turn something rotten into something miraculous. Potion Maniac yearned for it. If there was a chance, he wanted to go on a pilgrimage and worship them. Fang Yu did not know whether to laugh or cry. He was thinking too far ahead. However, he also knew that what Potion Maniac was saying now was not necessarily nonsense. For example, he had offended someone from the great world of thunder. That person claimed to be a disciple of the god of thunder. A mere disciple had caused Fang Yu, the Void Rat King, and Long Tianxian, who had once become a saint, to die without a doubt. If there were many such disciples, it would be simply too despairing. However, Fang Yu was not afraid. He still had the super slaughter system in his hand. Although he knew that there was one of the so-called 10 Great Worlds, he was once afraid that the super slaughter system came from one of the 10 Great Worlds. Then, in the future, he might become a living being in the hands of others. This was because the few worlds that he knew were not only superior but also had different directions of development. If it was said that there was a mysterious world that specialized in the development of the super slaughter system, he would believe it. Fang Yu, the extreme yuan pill is completed. It is the perfect extreme yuan pill in my heart. I will give it to you as a gift for accepting a disciple. Potion Maniac took a deep breath and said, "What?" Fang Yu was dumbfounded. How did it come back to the question of accepting a disciple? It was different from what they had agreed. Fang Yu, you are now a 4-star martial spirit, but you have endless potential. Now you can probably fight with ordinary 6-star or 7-star martial spirit. If you are a real genius, you can only challenge 5-star or 6-star martial spirit. Potion Maniac changed the topic and said, Fang Yu did not deny that his combat power was amazing. He was definitely not boasting. Fang Yu didn't need to boast about himself. He was just that powerful, just that powerful. Swallow it, and you can challenge 5 geniuses alone. Potion Maniac's eyes were bright. Fang Yu naturally knew that once he accepted it, he would have to acknowledge this master-disciple relationship. To him, this wasn't a simple matter. I could fight 10 geniuses alone before. Not at the same time, right? I think I have the possibility. Possibility? Hee. Do you know what the possibility is when it comes to the exhibition match? Can it be eaten? Fang Yu frowned. Senior Potion Maniac, what do you mean? What I mean is very simple. When it comes to the exhibition match, the contestants are basically martial kings. Wang Delong should have mentioned this, right? Potion Maniac said suspiciously. The contestant in the exhibition match was Wang Dalong. A 2-star martial king defeated a 3-star martial king from the other side. Otherwise, why do you think he has so many privileges in the Azure Dragon Institute? He can travel freely, have a lot of resources, and even become the vice principal. It is because he can defeat a monster who is more powerful than him at such a young age. Is that so? Fang Yu was shocked. In that case, Vice Principal Wang has not become a martial saint yet. Why is that? Hee, do you really think martial saints are cabbages? Potion Maniac rolled his eyes at Fang Yu and laughed. Chapter 389. It's not easy to become a saint. Long Tianxian continued. I admit that I took a gamble at that time, but I made the right bet. If he became a saint through normal means, he would have to settle down. Even my father, who is much more talented than me, couldn't become a saint at such a young age. He's not even the Dragon Emperor yet, which shows how difficult it is to become a saint. Fang Yu nodded in agreement. There were indeed some martial saints in the world, but it didn't mean that it was easy to become one. Sometimes there might not even be one in 100 monsters who could become a martial saint. Among them, there was no lack of protagonists in certain eras. However, with Wang Dalong's talent, it's strange that he didn't become a saint. Maybe he's accumulating power and waiting for an opportunity. Potion Maniac changed the topic and said, Oh? Waiting for an opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Fang Yu noticed the problem. Flying Immortal Mountain. You should know about it, right? It appeared many years ago for no reason, and even the first dean didn't know about it. However, this mountain is full of spiritual energy and has always been a scenic spot. Although it can't be called a historical site in terms of time, I've atoned for my sins here for many years. It should be a historical site worthy of its name. Potion Maniac muttered to himself. It should be a historical site. Fang Yu agreed with this statement. Even if it was something that appeared out of nowhere and was immersed in it for 100 years, it was worthy of being called an ancient site. Flying Immortal Mountain contains great fortune and might be related to becoming a saint. This is what the first dean left behind. Potion Maniac said seriously, Wang Delong might be eyeing Flying Immortal Mountain. Flying Immortal Mountain. Fang Yu's eyes flickered. Flying Immortal Mountain was not an ordinary existence. According to his current understanding, Flying Immortal Mountain was most likely related to the Void Martial Emperor's cave mansion. The Void Martial Emperor was a mysterious person. Some people said that he was titled Void because the Void Martial Emperor's understanding of space had reached the point where he could come and go freely. Some said that the two words void meant that the appearance of the Void Martial Emperor was very special. He came naked and left naked. When he came, he was the void. When he left, he was the void. No one knew what happened to the Void Martial Emperor. No one knew if the Void Martial Emperor was still alive or not. In the eyes of many people, including some martial emperors, the Void Martial Emperor represented unfathomable mystery. Another reason was that no one knew where the inheritance of the Void Martial Emperor was. No one had ever obtained the inheritance of the Void Martial Emperor. An expert had once tried to search for it, but in the end, he almost lost himself. From this, one could see that the Void Martial Emperor was indeed extremely powerful. Now, saying that Vice Principal Wang had not become a saint and was waiting for the good fortune of the Void Martial Emperor, it did not seem unreasonable, although the map seemed to have fallen into Fang Yu's hands. Back to the topic. Fang Yu, be my disciple. Potion Maniac said seriously. Senior, this isn't good. Fang Yu still refused in his heart. Wasn't that the case? He had only come here for the dragon bone armor, and now, he even wanted to take Zhang Xian as his master. Seriously, eh? System, I've already completed the extreme yuan pill with 2 pill veins. Isn't that still considered as completing the mission? Fang Yu also seemed to have remembered something and asked hurriedly. Ding. The host needs to swallow the extreme yuan pill to confirm the effect before completing the mission. The super slaughter system replied without any ripples. This is different from what we agreed on. Fang Yu was a little conflicted. Wasn't that right? This was not what they had agreed on before. So, Fang Yu, if you agree to be my disciple, I'll give you this item. Believe me, with this item, your potential will be completely excavated, and you will become stronger than you can imagine. Potion Maniac's eyes were bright. It's hard for me to agree to your request, Senior Potion Maniac. Fang Yu sighed. Why? Potion Maniac really wanted to know the reason. Was it because he had not shown enough sincerity? Or was it because of other reasons? He really wanted to know. I can't really pursue the medicine Tao as my lifelong pursuit. Senior, you're a monster in the medicine Tao, a madman in the medicine Tao. Under the situation where I can't completely inherit your will. If I agree rashly, won't I be disrespecting you? Fang Yu smiled bitterly. He was telling the truth. Saying some pretty words was free. However, Potion Maniac's will was not worth letting down. Sigh, I don't need you to promise me too much. You just need to promise me that you'll become a Medicine Tao Grandmaster in the future. Potion Maniac sighed and said. Fang Yu was silent for a while. Senior, I think you're trying to make things difficult for me. Fang Yu, half-step to Grandmaster. This should be enough. Potion Maniac took a step back and said, half-step to Grandmaster and true Grandmaster are worlds apart. I'm already making a big concession. This is still a big concession. Fang Yu rolled his eyes. Ding. In fact, the host's talent in the Medicine Tao is much stronger than the Saber Tao. It's not too difficult to become a Medicine Tao Grandmaster. The Super Slaughter system reminded Fang Yu at the right time. Get lost. Fang Yu could not help but curse. My dream is to become a saint in the Saber Tao and Martial Tao, not in the Medicine Tao and Medicine Tao. Do you know that? Ding. However, the host is indeed more suitable for the Medicine Tao. The Super Slaughter system's reply was still merciless. Fang Yu, as long as you agree, You can choose from my collection. I still have a daughter who hasn't been married yet. I also know the location of a special flame. Wait. Fang Yu could not help but stop. Senior Potion Maniac, what the hell is your daughter? What do you mean what the hell? Impudent. Potion Maniac glared at Fang Yu fiercely. No matter what, she's still my daughter. How can you slander her like this? Cough cough. Senior Potion Maniac, you've been trapped in the Azure Dragon Mirror for decades. Fang Yu replied tactfully. Even if your daughter was just born when you were locked in here, no matter what you say now, wasn't that right? Even if Potion Maniac's daughter was really beautiful at that time, almost 100 years had passed in the blink of an eye. She would have become an old woman, right? Even if she had the ability to retain her youth, she could not escape the fact that she was already a 100-years-old woman. Fang Yu could accept this situation psychologically, but it was not so easy for him to accept it physically. This Potion Maniac was stunned. He had never thought of this situation. After all, when his partner was about to give birth, he was planning this big event that had trapped him for decades. He only knew that he had given birth to a daughter and did not remember much else. Chapter 390. Let's talk about this after I leave the Azure Dragon Mirror. Now let's get back to the topic. Are you willing to be my disciple? Alchemy Maniac asked seriously. This, Fang Yu was hesitant. Being someone's disciple was not something that could be done casually. Moreover, it was different from what they had agreed on. Why would a master-disciple relationship happen out of nowhere? It was really hard for Fang Yu to accept this. Forget it, Alchemy Maniac suddenly sighed when he saw this. Just when Fang Yu thought Alchemy Maniac was going to change his mind, Alchemy Maniac said, I think I was too hasty earlier. Why don't we start from being a nominal disciple? Fang Yu was speechless when he heard this. Alchemy Maniac was going to start from being a nominal disciple. All right, I agree. Fang Yu suddenly said. If that doesn't work, why don't we? What did you say? Alchemy Maniac asked hurriedly. He seemed to have heard Fang Yu say that he agreed. I said I agree. Fang Yu said expressionlessly. Why did you agree again? Alchemy Maniac gulped nervously and said. If I continue to refuse, will you agree? Fang Yu asked. I definitely won't agree to this. Alchemy Maniac said seriously. So, I'm anxious to meet up with my friends. In that case, I don't have any other choice other than to agree to your request. Fang Yu said with a sigh. That makes sense. Why do you make it sound so strange? It's as if I'm forcing you. I won't admit it. Alchemy Maniac said seriously. Ahem. Of course, you're not forcing me. Think about it, would someone like me really be forced by others? Fang Yu cleared his throat and said with a smile. That makes sense. I've always won people over with my virtue. Although you and I are only nominal disciples now, I believe you'll definitely become my disciple under my guidance. At that time, I'll introduce my granddaughter to you. Alchemy Maniac replied with a smile. Wait. Fang Yu hurriedly shouted. You just said she was a daughter. How did she become a granddaughter? Oh, about that. At that time, I think they said that my twins are a boy and a girl. My daughter is one of them. Don't I have a son? I should have a granddaughter. Potion Maniac's expression did not change. Fang Yu's mouth twitched. Even if she was his granddaughter, it would be fine. In the blink of an eye, she would be at least a few decades old. How could he introduce her to him? All right, enough chit-chat. Hurry up and swallow this medicinal pill. Let me see the effects. Potion Maniac returned to the topic at hand. That's right, he had basically succeeded in improving the pill. All that was left was the last step, which was to test the pill. Different alchemists had different requirements for this step. Some alchemists attached great importance to this step. Some alchemists conformed to the norm and believed that once the pill was formed, it was more or less done. They were very confident in their own works. Potion Maniac was a person who paid attention to details and data. Even if he had already obtained the extreme yuan pill with 2 elixir patterns, he still paid attention to the follow-up data. He wanted to see what the result would be after swallowing it. Fang Yu was definitely the best candidate. A 4-star martial spirit at such a young age. He was simply like Wang Delong when he was young, or even better. At the very least, Wang Delong doesn't have such amazing talent in the field of medicine. Potion Maniac hummed and thought to himself. He originally disliked Wang Delong very much. Firstly, it was because of the grudges between them when they were young. One was a martial arts genius while the other was a monster in the field of medicine. Naturally, there was no lack of conflict between them. Secondly, Wang Delong had always been against Potion Maniac's way of doing things. He felt that Potion Maniac was too radical. The idea of promoting a type of medicinal pill to the world would be difficult in the future, let alone now. Although Vice Principal Wang acknowledged Potion Maniac's talent, there were some things that just talent alone was not enough. Even if he really had an unparalleled cultivation, there would still be many obstacles. This was how the world was like. Unfortunately, Potion Maniac did not understand at that time. By the time he understood, he was already in the Azure Dragon Mirror. Fortunately, Wang Delong still sent me a good disciple. Potion Maniac looked at Fang Yu with bright eyes. All right. At this point, Fang Yu did not procrastinate. He opened his mouth and swallowed the extreme yuan pill. Gulp! As soon as the pill fell, it immediately turned into a terrifying medicinal power that surged through the meridians in his body. Fang Yu's expression changed. The energy contained in the extreme yuan pill was too huge. Just this alone seemed to be enough to burst him. This Potion Maniac was a little worried. Would the extreme yuan pill with 2 elixir patterns be too much of a burden for Fang Yu? One had to know that the amount of energy a person could contain was limited. Fang Yu had absorbed so much medicinal energy all of a sudden. Could he really bear it? However, Potion Maniac's worries were completely unnecessary. He saw that all kinds of things in Fang Yu's body were activated. The Fire Spirit Emperor physique, the Fire Spirit bloodline, and so on were all activated and appeared in front of Potion Maniac. This is, Potion Maniac's eyes widened with ecstasy. Fang Yu, you are a natural alchemist. You actually have such a powerful flame. You are destined to be the successor of me, Medicine Maniac. Don't worry, you just have to take one step at a time. I, as your master, will explore the path for you and find out everything in front of you so that you can keep up with my pace. Then, after I pass away, you can cross over and surpass me. After pausing for a moment, Potion Maniac finished his words and felt relieved. He could already see the future of his alchemy path. Potion Maniac's thoughts were clear. At this moment, the alchemy experience that he had accumulated over the years flowed past his eyes like a merry-go-round. At this moment, Potion Maniac saw his next step, the threshold of a Grandmaster. Is this the threshold of a Grandmaster alchemy? No way. So fierce. Long Tianxian was also shocked by Potion Maniac. People talked about and heard a lot about sudden breakthroughs, but it was Long Tianxian's first time seeing a half-step Grandmaster on the spot. Fang Yu, you might have found a very amazing master. Fang Yu? Long Tianxian found that Fang Yu's situation was very strange, and his heart sank. Fang Yu's body turned fiery red, and his aura was also very powerful. However, this change seemed to be out of his control. Fang Yu, are you okay? Don't scare me. Long Tianxian quickly asked. I'm fine. Fang Yu replied with difficulty. I'm fine for now. Hearing this, Long Tianxian knew that Fang Yu was in big trouble now. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.